Everybody.
Happy New Year.
First stream of 2026. We're back.
We are.
We're back on
We're
the
back
internet.
here. We're
It's been a
keeping the
little
Christ in
while.
Christmas, like they say.
Yeah. I hope you celebrated all 12 days of Christmas this year and not just the first one.
Are you talking to me?
I'm
I-
talking to anyone who's listening, Hugh. That's
I-
what we're doing here on the internet.
Well, that's true. I celebrated. I drank a lot. Does that count?
I think it does.
Yeah,
I think it
good.
does. I think it's
Good.
definitely part of it. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a little while since we've been on the internet talking about movies, but we're back. We're going to keep doing that. We're not both dead.
Yes.
So isn't that very exciting? We're going to be talking about Marty Supreme. We'll just get it right out of the way. A pretty decent movie.
Yeah.
One of the few decent movies that's come out in the past 10 years. But I think the first thing to say is that I give a soft recommendation to this movie. I liked it enough. It was thoroughly entertaining, and I think you should go check it out. I wouldn't say I loved it, and we'll talk all about why, but we are going to be spoiling it. We're going to be talking about it in depth, in detail. So if you don't want it spoiled, you should leave. But I think it's a pretty decent movie, pretty fun, pretty wild. It's definitely definitely a wild ride. But I think if you like that kind of movie, you'll enjoy it, and it is, easily one of the better things out right now. So that's my spiel on it. Hugh, what's your broad take on?
Matthew Leach, you asked, "Can we, the chat, be on screen?" So you have asked, so it shall be. There you are.
And you're the first message on screen and everything. Look at that.
Look at that. Beautiful.
I thought to our audience, we honored their wishes.
I thought pretty much broadly the same. I thought it was wildly entertaining, a very fun ride. I didn't love it, but I did like it, and I would recommend seeing it if you like the kind of if you like uncut gems, you definitely should see this movie.
You won't like it as much.
You won't like it as much as Uncut Gems,
or you shouldn't, I should say.
But it's not as good. Broadly very similar.
Yes.
And
it's that kind of movie. It's a wild, stressful ride. It's part sports movie, part crazy, wacky thriller misadventure. It's mostly that. Yeah, exactly. Part Uncut Gems, part sports drama. I think my one big criticism would be that it kind of loses the sports part for too long. We do too many things that aren't sports, in my opinion. But you know what? I think it's an easy recommend. You could certainly do much worse. Someone asked, where is it? Have any of you seen Sentimental Value? Hugh, have you even heard of Sentimental Value? Because I saw it. So it's a new movie. It's let's see if I get this right. Is it Swedish or Norwegian? Sentimental Value. I think it's Norwegian.
Oh, have I heard of this? Is this the one with both Skarsgårds? Or just
nope,
Stellan?
Just the Stellan, just the elder Skarsgård, and Elle Fanning's in it as well. It's a drama. It's pretty darn good. I really enjoyed it. That's another pretty good movie that you could go see if you're looking to see a good movie in the movie theater. Sentimental Value. It's just a character drama. I don't mean that to denigrate it, but that's what it is, and it's a really, really good one of those. I don't think I'm in love with it quite the way some critics are, but it's a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. All the acting performances are really, really good, especially Stellan Skarsgård, who's great in everything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyable movie. I saw it because I was working an event where I was doing surveys outside the movie theater, like for a marketing research company who was clearly helping whoever distributed, I think it was Neon, whoever distributed Sentimental Value to help them figure out whether they should do a wide release or, so they showed it early in Atlanta here, and then they, were getting people's feedback and stuff like that. So there was a lot of downtime on that gig. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit in the theater and watch the movie with them. And it was good. It was a lot better than I would have expected it to be. Thoroughly enjoyable. So that's another easy recommend. You check that movie out too. I haven't seen a lot of the big things that people are talking about this time of year, just because I really don't feel like it. I would throw Stranger Things into that camp. Obviously, I didn't expect it to be good, and then I heard it wasn't, so I said, yeah, all right, I'll just skip that one. Same with Avatar 3. No thanks.
Yeah, I'm good
Fucking
on.
hate those movies. And I heard that it's basically just a rehash of 2. So I'm like, oh, great. Even more reason not to see it. We don't even get to do that much cool volcano stuff, apparently. It's just more water again. So that's fun. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about Marty Supreme instead of any of the more topical things that people would probably be more interested in us covering. But Marty Supreme's a pretty good movie, so we're gonna talk about it today. Hope you're all doing well. Someone said it looks pretentious, to be honest. I assume you're talking about sentimental value. I don't think it's pretentious. I think it's just a rather simple, sort of dysfunctional family drama, and it's good. It is sort of a European indie movie, so maybe it just has a little bit of that air in the marketing because they're like, oh, the way they talk about indie dramas in marketing can be kind of pretentious, but I don't think the movie itself is. Elle Big Fanny Fanning, yep, she is in the movie, and yes, she does have a rather large rear end, and good for her.
Chud Vane says, "Happy Wigger Winter, everybody." Timothy Chalamet sure does help make that season shine.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that before we jump into the movie. Let's talk about the marketing because I found the marketing fairly interesting, as a lot of people have. You can see it on the screen. There's a little blimp going by. So they did a number of little marketing stunts like this where they made a real blimp, an orange blimp that they flew around Los Angeles. I think they flew it across the country, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't really follow the story. But Timothy Chalamet was getting some grief on the internet, believe it or not, because people were responding to a quote from an interview he did. It was just like the quote was in a tweet, and people are like, wow, this guy's so full of himself. Because he said, hold on, let me find the exact quote. Because they were giving my boy Timmy a hard time, and I didn't appreciate it. Let's see. Okay. So the quote was Timothy Chalamet says he's given, quote, top of the line performances these last 7 or 8 years. Quote, I don't want people to take it for granted. I don't want to take it for granted. This is some really top level shit. And people are responding to that like, wow, this guy's so full of himself. Oh my gosh, how embarrassing. And then you watch the actual clip where he's saying this, and he's clearly just doing a bit. He's just he's taken the same sort of like character energy and aura that he has in the movie Marty Supreme, where he's very, very like kind of comedically and charmingly overconfident, and he's just doing that in the interviews because it's fun. And it's like, God forbid a guy has a good time, all right?
With his work, yes.
Yeah, come on, guys. Come on. Also, even if he did say that, who cares? Because he's right. He is one of the better actors right now.
Yeah,
he's doing a good job.
He's putting out some real interesting shit. He's doing some solid work, man. He's out there every day. He's putting in good performances. He's nailing Kendall Jenner or whoever, whichever Jenner sister. Good for him. Like, keep it up, man. Way to
Going
go.
on like college football game day, programs, talk ball and stuff like that. He's hard to hate. I like him.
Yeah.
The other thing he did that I thought was pretty amusing is he did this thing that they released. So this is an A24 movie, and A24 put out a video that was also clearly a bit of him like coming into a Zoom meeting with all the marketing people at A24 and kind of as this character telling them how they should market the movie. It's a pretty funny bit. It's like he's got all these like really goofy ideas, and he's like, I want like Marty Supreme orange, and he's like, hold on, I got this like orange. My artist, he's been working on this for 3 years. He helped me with this, and then he shows this like low res square of a certain color of orange, and he's like trying to make it bigger, but he can't make it bigger. It's a pretty funny little bit. So I was pretty intrigued and impressed by the sort of the fun they were having with the marketing. Now, I did not see The Smashing Machine, which was Benny Safdie's movie. Obviously, the Safdie brothers made 2 feature films together. Well, they've made more than that, but they've made 2 that I've seen. One is Good Time, which I'm a big fan of, and Uncut Gems, which I love Uncut Gems.
Yes.
Great movie. One of the best movies of 2019. It wasn't even nominated at the Oscars because the Oscars suck.
That was
so
a
the
good
Safdie
year,
brothers.
That was a really
It was a
strong
good year. It was tough. It was probably the best year in a long time, I would say. So the Safdie brothers have made a couple of really, really strong, kind of wild, freewheeling, stressful thriller movies. that I've quite enjoyed: thriller comedies, suspense movies. And so then they kind of split up. I don't know if they're going to get back together or not, but they split up to make The Smashing Machine, which Benny Safdie, they made two sports dramas in the same year, which I find remarkable. So The Smashing Machine is with The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Emily
Oh,
Blunt.
that one
I
looked
have
good.
not. Yeah, it did look pretty good, but I heard it was like all right, and so I said, "Oh, okay, I'll wait to see that eventually."
Yeah,
You
Benny
know,
Safdie, I didn't, because didn't Benny Safdie also do, yeah, what was that one with, who was it? Was it Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder? Didn't he do that?
oh, The Curse.
Curse. Yeah, wasn't that
Yes,
him? That
he
was him, not Josh, right?
Yeah, that was he. Benny Safdie was in that, and did he direct part of it? I don't remember. But he was definitely heavily involved in that. The Curse was really good until the ending. It was one of the worst endings I've seen in a long time. It kind of makes the
Yeah.
whole thing not worth it. But there was some funny stuff in there for sure.
Yeah, and Benny Safdie is also in this movie, I'm pretty sure. Unless I
Is he?
complete, isn't he the guy in they fleece at the ping pong hall or at the bowling alley?
No,
Anytime
I
there's
don't.
I thought that was him. Anytime there's like a really weird looking guy in one of their movies, I just assume it's one of them. You know, like
I don't think he is in this movie. Um, Unless he was hiding somewhere and I didn't see him. But anyway, so they, like the Coen brothers, kind of split up to make their own movies. The Safdie brothers went their own ways and made two sports dramas in the same year. I haven't seen The Smashing Machine. I don't know if anyone in the chat has. You can let us know what you thought of it. But I did want to see Marty Supreme, A, because I like little Timmy Chalimmy, and, a sports drama about ping pong that's pretty funny and fun. Has a lot of good people in it. It looked a lot more entertaining than the Smashing Machine, just based on the trailer. And then the marketing, was kind of fun and inventive. So I was like, you know what? This is one of the few movies in the theater that I'm actually excited to see. And then I went and saw it, and I liked it but didn't love it. Thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I wasn't bored at any point during the 2.5 hour long movie, which is, I guess, an impressive feat in and of itself. But it is not as good as Uncut Gems. I don't think it quite comes together in the same way, and I think it's just a little messier, personally.
I that was my first reaction on leaving also. Not quite the satisfying ending that Uncut Gems' ending, as shocking as it is, right, is kind of like because the movie is build up, build up, build up, build up, build up, and then this big release that feels very well tied together with everything
Yes.
that's happened before. This one is build up, build up, build up, build up, release, but it's just not quite in the same way. Not quite as satisfying in the same way, the way that this plays out, and we will talk all about it, I would say.
Yeah, I think we're gonna jump around. I'm not gonna go. I don't feel like going through the movie chronologically here. We're just gonna bounce around because bouncing around is fun. Before we get into like the proper spoiler section, we'll change the background so you know when that is. I just think the resolution of this story is not nearly as narratively satisfying as Uncut Gems or Good Time. Uh,
Yes.
it tries to have bit happier of an ending. I just don't know if it quite works. But I think the performances are great. The performances have been really solid in all the movies I've seen by them. The editing, all that sort of stuff. The use of music is an interesting thing. I don't know if I love the way music was used in this movie. We'll talk about that. But yeah, thoroughly entertaining. People give like there's a lot of what I like about their movies is that if you're a fan of like offensive jokes and things like that and
Yeah.
just crazy, wacky, very like offensive situations and comments and things like that, there's no like they are not in short supply in this movie. Like it satisfies that. There's some things people say that make you go, Jesus fucking Christ, man. And so that's really fun. I feel like they thoroughly appreciate the power of offensive jokes in the way that a lot of modern movies don't. So that's like sort of it's part of the wild sort of energy that their movies have that I thoroughly enjoy. So yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we jump into all the spoiler
I
stuff?
love Tyler the Creator, and I'm glad he
Oh
was in
yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, he's fun. He's fun. I haven't seen him do much acting outside of like Loiter Squad and things like that.
That's yeah, that's why I love him. His Loiter Squad.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, and he gets to be pretty funny in this. And there's a lot. There's he's not in a huge chunk of the movie, but I enjoyed seeing him for sure.
Yeah.
And I definitely think Timothy Chalamet's performance is the standout performance in the movie. Though, what's his name? The Shark Tank guy. He was really good too. What's his name?
The Shark Tank guy. Which one is?
The main bad guy.
Oh. Oh. Wait.
What's
Which
his
which
name?
main bad guy are we talking? Oh, we're talking about
Hold
right.
on.
Gwyneth Paltrow's husband in the movie.
Yes, he's on Shark Tank.
I did not know that he was on Shark
That's
Tank.
what he's. He's not an actor. This is like one of his. Kevin O'Leary. That's his name.
Well,
Yeah,
for not
this is
being,
like one of his.
I didn't even know that he wasn't an actor. Honestly, he's great. He's really really good in this movie.
Yeah,
Good for him.
because I recognized him, and my first thought was, oh, it's character actor man. He's been in things, and then it's like, no, he hasn't actually. This is one of his first movies. You remember him from Shark Tank. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's really good. I've been very impressed with how well the Safdie brothers can pull good performances out of non-actors because all of their movies that I've seen are littered with people who are like absolutely stellar professionals who've been around forever and people who've never acted before in their lives. And they do a really good job of pulling good performances out of them. There's a lot of funny, wacky side characters in Uncut Gems, for example, who are definitely not actors.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the guy in the casino, who
Yes, exactly.
yeah
Yep, that's the guy. That's the guy I was thinking of too. Yeah, so he's a very impressive. They're very impressive directors, and I think Josh Safdie really shows that here as well. He gets great performances, the editing, the pacing, all that stuff. Really, really solid. This story, though, may be a little messier and less narratively coherent than Good Time and Uncut Gems, though still thoroughly enjoyable. So,
yeah. I
uh,
mean, honestly, the Safdie brothers are the reason anybody ever thought The Weeknd might be able to act. And that was
oh, that's kind of
proved
yeah.
incorrect.
That's fine. Well, that's that. There you go. That is the perfect, case in point for like they can get good performances out of people that others can't, proving that directing is more than just like having a really strong aesthetic vision. It's being able to get good performances out of actors. And if you can get a good performance out of The Weeknd for Uncut
Yeah,
Gems, and literally no one else seems able to do it, then it's like, hey man, you're a pretty good director.
yeah. I mean, someone also said Kevin Garnett is surprisingly great in Uncut
Oh
Gems,
yeah.
and I mean, like I have seen the cutscenes from Spike Lee's, video game where he got actual NBA, players to voice act, the lazy form of acting, and it's atrocious. So the fact that they were able to get a legitimate NBA player and make him quite convincing. I mean, he's playing himself, but still really convincing. They're playing themselves in Spike Lee's video game too, and they suck at it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the power of good direction. That's the most like underappreciated, unsung aspect of good direction, I would say.
yeah,
When you make like because there's there's a lot of examples like that. Yeah, they're very talented directors, and I think they're pretty talented writers. So I think we can jump
yeah.
into the spoiler section now.
All right. Oh, another actor I wanted to throw a shout out to for this movie is what's her name? It's the main female, Odessa Azion, however you say that. However you say it. Great job in the Hellraiser reboot, and really good job here too. She's great. Yeah, yeah, Marty Mauser. Oh, hold on. Give me a second. You are dead to the world at the moment. I think I know how to fix this. Give me 1 second. All right, go.
I'm talking. Can you hear me? Whoa, what's going on? What's going on?
There's a lot of crazy echo happening right now that should not be happening.
I didn't do anything on my end, so I'm gonna blame this on you. Can you still not hear me?
No, you can. They can hear you. They can hear a lot more of you than they should. Try now.
Set up, so
Okay,
I
yeah.
blame him.
You should blame me. We're all good. We are all set. Everything is
Okay.
back to normal.
What happened?
It was just the monitor was on, so I was, I was able to hear and check your levels, but also hear and check your levels. There were multiple of you. You transcended
all
space
right,
and
so
time for a
can-
brief second.
You can blame Hugh for this because he just moved recently.
Yes.
New setup. Anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, well, the basic premise of Marty Supreme is that Marty Mauser is not a ping pong, but a table tennis player, and he has that sort of crazy delusional confidence of a Muhammad Ali type character, and he is going to be the best there ever was at table tennis. He's also trying to bring table tennis to prominence in the United States because it fills stadiums overseas, according to him. And by overseas, he mostly means Asia. This takes place in the 1950s, though I will be honest, I kind of forgot that at several points in the movie because there is so much 80s music. But this does take place in the 1950s. And so the basic structure of the story is he's at the World Championships and he comes very close to becoming world champion, but he loses to a Japanese table tennis player. And then he has to try to work his way back to the World Championships next year or however many years, 4 years away, I can't remember which. But he has to try to get the money together to make it there. And he gets involved in all sorts of criminal and borderline criminal shenanigans trying to make it because, he's not making any money as a table tennis player living in New York in the 1950s. So he gets into all sorts of wacky misadventures, some pretty fucked up, all pretty wild and stressful. Yes, as Safdie movies tend to be. And then eventually he gets to go to the World Championship at the end, but he doesn't get to the World Championship, but he gets to go back to Japan to face this guy one more time under strange circumstances that we'll talk about later.
Yes.
And eventually he gets to defeat him. So it has the basic drama, the basic structure of a sports movie. But one of my criticisms is we spend like a solid 75% or more, maybe 80% of the movie not doing anything sports related at all. And it's just a wacky series of misadventures and criminal shenanigans.
Part of that is because this movie is inspired by a real story, a true story.
Inspired is a very strong word for what this is.
Yeah. So a lot of this is taken from or like spun off of, I think, is probably a better way of putting it, because most of this is just the invention of Josh Safdie's sort of neurotic New York Jewish mind.
Yeah, they're calling it the most Jewish movie of all time. And by they, I mean me.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of this comes out of just his general sense of the insanity, as the comparisons to Uncut Gems, should make clear. But it is based on a real life table tennis player who was kind of psychotic and neurotic himself. He learned how to play table tennis when he got sent to a asylum at the age of 9 years old, I think. So that's basically where the inspiration like leaves off. You know, he did have a lot. He did hustle people in underground bars. He did get into a lot of fights, you know, and do a lot of weird, wacky, crazy shit.
Did
Nothing
he
quite
did he
like this.
accidentally kill a bunch of people when he blew up a gas station? Was that something he did?
No. As far as I'm aware, no. Blowing up a gas station, accidentally killing an entire crowd of people, no. Stealing a mobster's dog, and then
Yeah,
accidentally getting that mobster killed as he tries to
in
steal
a
it back from a
confrontation with some
racist.
random hick. Yeah.
Yeah. That, as far as I'm aware, also didn't happen. But the guy was also, by all reports, a compulsive liar. So he probably would just say that this is like his life story if he was still alive. So in the spirit of the real guy, this
Yeah.
kind of sticks very well to that
I feel like
theme.
Bob Dylan when he
Yeah,
didn't he write an autobiography where he just made up
yeah.
an entire
Bob
story?
Dylan Chronicles Volume 1. There is no Volume 2 forthcoming or otherwise, but it is called Volume 1. He just made all that shit up.
See, that would make
For
a
the
good
most
movie. I
part,
wish
none of
they
it is
did
real.
that instead of like, oh my gosh, he's going electric. Whoa, the folksters aren't happy about it, like they did in The Complete Unknown. But okay, so someone asked in the chat, Kevo did. I heard critics are maligning the film unfairly. Do you think that that's true?
I
No,
don't
the
know what they're
critics seem
saying
to
about
really
it.
like it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just looking at Rotten Tomatoes here. It's got a 94 from critics, 83 from audiences, IMDb 8.2. So no, it's got great reviews. I think that's high. I think it's a little too high. If anything, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think this is like a 6.5 out of 10, 7 kind of
Yeah, I'd
movie,
call this a
in my opinion.
70. Like a 7 out of 10. It
Yeah,
seems right.
which is above average, which is a good
Yeah.
score. We like it, but it could have been a lot stronger. Yeah, I think the critic ratings are too high, if anything. But so yeah, back to the general structure of it. Obviously, it is very, 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 very loosely based off a real person. But basically, it's the sports drama just feels kind of like the start and the end. Like it's like a frame to hang a whole bunch of crazy, wacky situations, which is tends to be what their movies are, right? They're stressful, suspenseful, criminal stories, right? And it felt like it doesn't really work for me. Like I like the sports drama sections of the movie quite a lot, the beginning and the end, essentially. But when we're like 75% of the way through the movie, and it's like, okay, are we going to do sports stuff again or not?
Is he
We
going to
finally
ever
do.
make it?
When we finally get back there, pretty damn satisfying. Really like it. But part of the problem with going most of the movie between world championship tournaments, where he's trying to make it there, is that we never see him practice or do any ping pong stuff at all. I mean, okay, that's not entirely true.
He
He
does
hustles some
hustle
people.
some people at
Yeah,
a bowling alley.
and that's not
Um,
nothing. That's
yeah.
not nothing. But part of the problem for me is that eventually, when he goes to Japan, he will ultimately defeat the Japanese guy he lost to pretty badly. Well, I mean, significantly at the beginning of the movie. He defeats him at the end, and yay, isn't that satisfying? But part of me is like, I don't understand why he beat him this time. You know?
Yeah, well,
I,
I think so. That's one of the things that really kind of I liked and didn't like about it, right? So when we get introduced to the Japanese champion, um, he's sort of the foil for everything that Marty. He's everything that Marty is not, right? He's
yes.
deaf, so he stays quiet, a
Hmm.
lot. He doesn't speak. He plays. He wins the world championship, and then the newsreel that we see of this shows that he's like it says, oh, he after he won, he returned to the life of a humble craftsman because he's making shoes, in
Yes.
a hut in Japan, post World War II Japan, right? So he's the Daniel's
Oh,
son
just to
from
add just to add to that, he also returns to his country as a national hero. when
Yes.
they're in short supply in the aftermath of World War II. And so he's treated with like parades and stuff. Meanwhile, no one appreciates table tennis at all here, is
Yeah.
kind of the joke of the movie. So in basically every way, he's the opposite of Marty Mauser. He's not boastful and arrogant. And, Marty's a talker. Like
Yeah.
that's his big strength is that he's a salesman. He's
Yeah.
very good at manipulating people and convincing them to do what he wants. And he's very, very confident. He's a showman.
Yeah. But he doesn't want, like, he wants to be a showman in one way, right? He does, like, he's offered the job of being a manager at his uncle's shoe store in New York,
Hmm.
and like he could, I mean, his uncle keeps saying things like, "Ah, you gotta put ping pong aside for this, you gotta whatever." But
Yeah.
like the choice that he makes is like he could do ping pong on the side, right? He is talented and good. He is doing it on the side at the beginning of the movie well enough to make it to the world championships, right? So he could keep that up, but what he wants is the ritzy, glamorous life of an extremely successful and talented athlete who is like
Yeah.
he wants to be the face of the sport for
Yeah.
America.
He wants to be on the Wheaties boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a table tennis player. Yeah.
Yes. And that's really that's his flaw, right? Is that he like it's his arrogance. The other guy doesn't have that. So the Japanese player is your more traditional sports drama hero being framed as the villain of the movie. So you're kind of
Well, not
watching this from the perspective of
antagonist,
an
not
antagonist,
villain.
not yeah.
Yeah.
You're watching this from the perspective of the heel, right? As
Yes.
opposed to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And that becomes very true because when I mentioned earlier that he returns to Japan, not for the World Championships, but under rather strange circumstances, eventually he's going to meet up with the guy played by Kevin O'Leary, whose name I can't remember in the movie, Gwyneth Paltrow's husband, who gives him the opportunity, like, hey, you can go to Japan. I see this, whole table tennis thing as sort of a marketing opportunity, and we want to sell more pens in Japan. So we're going to host this ping pong event, and you're going to get to have a rematch against that guy, but you're going to lose because this is staged. This is a marketing thing. This is so I can sell more pens in Japan. This is it's very much related to the Harlem Globetrotters, who make an appearance in the movie, and Marty will perform at their halftime shows at one point in the movie. So he's like he's an athlete and he's got that like champion mindset, right? He wants to be the very best of all time. He's got the Ash Ketchum
Yeah,
mindset.
he's the guy, he's the artist who doesn't want to like he's the writer who doesn't want to do corporate work. He's like no no no
Yeah.
this is just a stepping stone. I'm gonna write the great American novel. I should be writing the great American novel. That's my destiny. He has a whole
Yeah,
speech
not
about
just that, like
purpose.
he
He's imbued with
obviously
purpose.
and he has that like like that pure sports athlete mentality where he's like no it like when he faces off against him at the end of the movie he does play the part of the heel and lose on purpose and to uproar from the crowd, but then he's like, by the way, that was fake, I was pretending the whole time, now it's time for a real matchup. Like come on, we'll play for real this time, because he needs to know if he's better than him, like it needs viscerally in his soul, he needs to know whether he's actually the best or not, and that kind of overtakes him at the end. It's a really interesting finale, we'll come back to it, but like that's his character essentially. He's a smooth talker, he's very charismatic, and he's very confident, and he's very single-minded in his goal of becoming the best, and he has there's like a purity and an idealism about it. He doesn't want to play the heel. He doesn't want to be a sort of jokey halftime show for the Harlem Globetrotters. He wants to be like a real champion athlete.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my So okay, so my biggest problem really with the way that the overall arc of the story goes, right, is that he doesn't do anything to like redeem his character
Yes.
at all
You want to just talk about the ending, or do you want to work up to that?
before like d-
Can you not hear me again? Hello?
I cannot hear you.
Hello? Can someone hear me? La 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 la. What's happening, Hubert? What's going on?
That's
Can you hear me now? Hello? Okay, they're saying they can hear me. Can you not hear me? What's happening? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Okay, they can hear. Oh boy, a little technical difficulties because he's got a new setup, and we typically stream from his end, so you can blame him. Send all your complaints to you screen. Now we can. Now everyone is gone. Hugh, come on, buddy. What's happening? You're killing me. Hugh, you've made it worse. At least before they could hear me. Hubert, unmute yourself. What's going on, buddy? You did this.
you did. I don't know what happened there. You dropped out
And
for some reason. You're back now.
they could hear me the whole time.
They
They could.
A couple
I
people
see it
were
in,
saying. Now
no.
everyone is Travion. Now everyone is gone. We don't hear you,
Okay,
Jamie.
Hugh,
I'm hearing
I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'll give you the rundown. You stopped being able to hear me.
Yeah.
They could still hear me, and then no one could hear anything. So if that tells you anything for your troubleshooting
Yeah.
later.
I'll keep that in mind for if this happens again.
Uh,
We should be having fewer issues, but here we are.
in this new year, our resolution was to be even worse.
Yeah, it's well, as Jamie mentioned, I just moved, so new place, new setup. Still working out the kinks for the first stream of the year, but
Jamie
it
and
looks
Hugh
like it
broke
should
up
be
just
okay.
like the Safdie and the Coen brothers. Yes, it's very sad. It's very tragic. We have to go our separate ways now. I just want to go on a brief side tangent about that.
About the Coen brothers, because
About the
that has been somebody. I heard somebody or saw somebody saying, earlier. It was like so I assume the Safdie breakup hasn't been as disastrous as the Coens. Doesn't
No,
look
it
like
has
it so
not.
far.
No, doesn't look like it. What I've heard about the Smashing Machine is that it's pretty good to find, and that this movie I think is also pretty good to find. The Coen brothers, however, split up and then revealed to all the world that, oh, I guess Joel's the only talented one then, because Drive Away Dolls was fucking atrocious.
I've heard
Awful
only
movie.
bad things about
And then I
Honey
didn't
Don't
see a
as
second
well.
one, which was called,
Honey
we'll show it
Don't,
on
right?
screen now. Honey Don't. That's right. Yeah, it looked like the exact same movie as Drive Away Dolls, so I said, no, thank you. Meanwhile,
I
Joel
think
Coen made Tragedy of Macbeth, which was pretty all right. I enjoyed it. I look forward to his next movie that he has in the works right now. It was certainly a lot better than Drive Away Dolls, that is for sure.
so if I'm remembering correctly, Honey Don't is considered the second. I think it's the second in what he wants to be known as his lesbian B movie trilogy. That's
Okay,
that
well,
he's Drive Away Dolls, Honey Don't, and then an unnamed third
he's gonna make another
lesbian B
shitty movie. Like, why? Dude, no one likes them. They're not well reviewed. No one likes them, dude. And I hated Drive Away Dolls. It was fucking terrible. Awful movie. Good. He's gonna make another
Kyler
one.
3500. Okay, didn't one of the Coens make a bunch of lesbian exploitation movies because his wife decided she's a lesbian even though they're still married? Evidently so.
They're in a
Yes.
polyamorous marriage, by the way. I learned that against my will, and now you have learned that as well. I am sorry to be the one to tell you, but that is true. Turns out Ethan Cohen is cringe.
Yep.
That's a shame.
The poor silly little cuck. What can you
But
do?
the Safdie brothers, less cringe.
Yeah.
So we can return. So the question, I think, before everything went wrong, because it's all your fault, was do we want to talk about the ending now or build up to it? Because the ending is
We might as well just
where I think the most problems I have with the movie lie.
Well, there's one really weird part about the ending that there's a really okay. So one of the parts about the ending that I did not quite understand, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it, because I couldn't tell if it was like a joke or like some kind of revelation. I'm not really when the Shark Tank guy pulls him to the side of the stage before they play the real game
Yeah,
and
yeah.
tells him, I was born in 1601. I'm the vampire. I've seen 100 of you, Marty, and you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be happy. You know, it's never gonna work. What?
Hmm. Okay.
Why? Why
So
is he?
I like
Why?
that line.
I
I,
thought that was. I thought that was very. I was like, that came out of nowhere. Like, does he believe that he's? Is this him just being hyperbolic? Does he
he's being
legitimately
hyperbolic. Yes.
believe he was born in 1601 and he
No,
is a
no, I
vampire?
think I think it's very clear that he's being hyperbolic and that he's being like, I've been around forever. I am all wise and knowing, unlike you. I've seen many of your kind come and go, Marty Mauser. You know, like that's basically what he's saying. But the way he says it, apparently, Kevin O'Leary came up with this little bit
Yes, that is kind of
that I
funny.
was
Okay, that is
born
kind of
in
funny.
six.
Yeah, I was born in
Let me.
1601. I'm the vampire.
I'm a vampire. I've been around forever. I've met many Marty Mausers over the centuries. Some of them crossed me. Some weren't straight. They weren't honest. And those are the ones that are still here. You go out and win that game, you're going to be here forever too, and you'll never be happy. And then appropriately, Marty kind of laughs like, okay, like,
Yeah,
okay, dude.
that's where he was. Okay, okay, Mr. Rockwell. That's where I was like, where the confusion part got me, where he was just like, okay. I was like, oh, is this like meant to just be this character's like weird neurosis? Is that he
No,
legitimately
he's just
believes?
he's being very melodramatic, trying to prove a point and trying to be intimidating. And Marty's just like, yeah, whatever you say, dude, because he doesn't have any power over him in the moment. So he's just like, yeah, whatever, dude. All
Yeah,
right,
you
you're
know
a
what,
vampire,
Jen?
sure, buddy.
The sequel that Tyler the Creator becomes Blade the Vampire Hunter.
Oh, dude,
That's that
dude.
sounds fucking sick. I
Oh, they've been trying to crack that movie for years, and it turns out they just
They
need
just need
Tyler the
Tyler the
Creator.
Creator. I would
Tyler the
watch.
Creator Blade would be. Oh my god, that'd
That
be
would be fucking
hysterical.
amazing. Marvel,
Oh my
I know you're
god.
watching. Make it happen, please.
Oh
You've run out of time. You've waited too long on Mahershala Ali. This is the only way
yeah,
to bring it
it's
back.
Tyler. He's gonna be the guy to do it. He's gonna make it work. Oh, that would be so funny. Oh, incredible, incredible work, Jen. All right, so we went over the basic structure of the movie. Before we get to the ending, because I think there's a couple things I want to establish before we can really talk about whether the ending works. Let's talk about the characters, right? So this is one of those movies where no one is really very likable at all,
Yes.
really. Everyone kind of sucks a little bit. Obviously, they'll have some redeeming qualities. Marty's redeeming qualities is that he's very, very, very charming and charismatic, and he's good at talking to people. But he's very manipulative. He's very self-serving. He kills a few people.
Yes.
Like, I would say, like perhaps you could say accidentally, or negligently, but he kills like a dozen people. Like
Yeah, something like that. Like at least a
it's
truck full plus 4. Like
yeah,
it's
it's a lot. It's
it's quite a
he
few.
results his behavior results in the deaths of many people. He is significantly worse, morally speaking, than anyone in Uncut Gems or Good Time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so like to tally up the sins of Marty, right? We
there are
have
many. Yeah, let's
murder
go. Let's get
times
started.
16, about, let's just call it about 16, because there's about a dozen in that truck that come to get the money back, right? That are
Are there
blown
really
up at the
that
gas
many? Because
station.
that would be kind of like a clown car situation.
It kind of isn't it kind of a clown car? Didn't they all ride in the bed? Like there's a whole
Okay, they
bunch of
did.
them surrounding
But
the
12 is
car.
still a lot. Anyway, I'm happy to call the total deaths he caused 12. We'll just leave it at
Yeah.
12.
Okay, that's fair.
He kills a dozen. A baker's dozen, 13.
A baker's dozen. He kills 13 or causes the deaths of 13 people.
Hmm.
He impregnates his neighbor's wife, who's also his childhood
Childhood best friend.
best
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
He
And hold on, he
destroys.
not only impregnates his neighbor's wife and childhood best friend, he like refuses to take any responsibility for the child at all
Yes.
and what he's done to her life.
Mhm.
So there's
Well,
that.
well, except there is the point where he thinks that the neighbor punched her in the eye, so
Yeah.
he knocks on the door, gets him to open it, and then brains him with his ping pong trophy and leaves him.
Yes.
I thought he had killed him there, so
Yeah, I
but
thought so
leaves
too.
him to, leaves him to it on the floor.
Yeah.
He destroys his taxi driver friend's taxi, or causes the
Yeah.
destruction by putting him in that scenario.
The movie quite clearly implies that that guy, that's Tyler the Creator's character, his taxi driver friend. He doesn't really, he needs the money. He's
He
not
has
making ends
a
meet a whole
family.
lot better. He's got a family to support. He's not making ends meet a whole lot better than Marty is. So, uh, that's rather financially devastating to him, actually.
Yeah. Yes, very financially devastating, although he doesn't really seem to care all that much by the time he sees him next in the movie, which is kind of fun. He's just sort of like rolling with it. He sleeps with the wife of
Another married woman
another married woman.
mhm,
He
steals from
insults,
her.
steals from her. Yeah, he steals from her. He insults to the face of his father, a soldier who died in the Pacific War fighting against the Japanese. Um,
That was very funny, though, if
no,
I'm going to be
it was
honest.
fucking hysterical.
You like okay, so the basic what we're getting at here is that he's very charming
He
and
does all of this in a
charismatic.
very fun and funny way. Just saying.
Yes, but he's a very bad, selfish person, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, right? Because I love Uncut Gems, and he's not a great guy in that either. Though I would say Marty is worse.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, he steals his best friend's father's car. Or it gets
mhm,
somebody to convinces his pregnant, like his pregnant friend,
yeah,
with his baby, to steal a car to drive out, and then he ends up destroying that car as well because he gets shot at by a shotgun. He
mhm,
steals a mobster's dog.
mhm.
There's a lot. There is a
He's given money from the mobster to go take the dog to the vet because the mobster gets nearly crushed to death by a falling bathtub
that Marty was in.
that Marty was in, and which also hurts the dog. And while this guy is indisposed, he says like, "Someone's got to take the dog to the vet. Marty, can you do it? Here, I'll give you this money." And then Marty's like, "Oh, sweet money. I need money. I'm not gonna take the dog to the vet." And then he
Yeah,
just kind of steals the dog for a while. And then
loses the
so
dog.
loses the dog. Yeah, a whole bunch of things. So, and like I said, that's not really a problem with the movie
No, no, no. I'm
for
not.
me
Yeah,
until we get to the ending because I think the choice. So now we can talk about the ending. The very end of the movie ends rather optimistically. It's a happy ending for Marty, essentially. And I just don't think the story has justified that. If the movie ended tragically, as it does in Uncut Gems, spoiler alert, I think this all would have been fine for me, but it's a little too easy how happy the ending is, considering like he should be in a lot of legal trouble, actually. But I'll
yeah.
set that aside.
There should be
It's
a
just
lot
in
of
terms of
follow
the
up.
this yeah, in terms of the general sort of moral arc of the movie, I couldn't really get on board with his happy ending because there's kind of two ways you could end a story like this, given all the sins that he piles up over the course of the story. One is that it ends tragically, and you go, ah, it's a cautionary tale kind of thing. The other is that he sort of redeems himself in some way, and he does the tiniest little bit of redemption, and the redemption is he finally acknowledges and takes responsibility for the kid, which is good. We like that. Thumbs up. It, glad he finally did that. But then the movie just ends, and I don't really feel like he changed or grew as a person. So the whole thing is just like, well, it's not very narratively satisfying in either direction, I would say. That's my big criticism.
Yeah, that's the main thing that that gets to me, right? Is like
Yeah.
he doesn't get what he wants. He get he wants to be the world champion. What he ends up doing is beating the world champion in a match that is not the world championship. He has
Yes.
to come to terms with the fact that he cannot play, like he cannot get what he wants. He has to get what he needs, right? Like the
Hmm.
satisfaction of knowing that he can beat the world champion. There's a song used earlier in the movie at one point that it kind of does. It's not the Rolling Stones song you might expect it to be, even though that came out later than the 50s. It's a more of a like an 80s hip hop song that goes, "This is what you want and this is what you need," a few times over and over, right, to kind of drive
Yeah,
that
yeah.
point home. Um, but it he doesn't, like, by the time he's in Japan, right, and then like the time he gets back, it's like, oh, okay, so really, beating the world champion has sort of washed clean all of the rest of what he did earlier in the movie, as
A
far as
little
the
bit.
narrative is concerned.
Yeah.
And then he comes to the hospital and looks at his child, and he has a bit of like an epiphany, and the movie ends with a bunch of
Hmm.
babies crying over the credits in a
Which
very
is a fun
obnoxious
choice.
way, which is
I like
fun.
it.
I liked
Yeah.
it.
And
But
I like that he ultimately takes responsibility for the child. That's a good, like,
that's a good
first step
start.
kind of
It's a
thing.
good start.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I agree with you because, like, essentially, for that ending to work, for him to sort of like, okay, well, I didn't get what I want, which is to become world famous Wheatie Box world champion table tennis player. Um, like that, the movie humbles him a bit, and he returns to something like a normal life. You know, like where
Yeah.
maybe he still plays table tennis on the side, but he's got a wife and a kid, and he's a salesman at a, is it a shoe store? Is
Yeah,
that
it's
where the,
it's his uncle's
yeah?
shoe store. Yeah.
If he's sort of humbled and sort of graciously accepts that life instead, that would be better. I personally, I would just cut the part where he blows up a whole truck full of people that he fleeced of their money. I would just cut that from the movie personally. I think it creates consequences that I don't think the movie does anything appropriate with. And so it feels like the movie, that's the one place in the movie and all the craziness that happens, that feels like jumping the shark to me. That he blows up
Yeah,
all those guys
that
in the gas station.
yeah. I mean, there's also the point where he essentially leads four mobsters to their death, because he's revealed where the dog, like, because the mobster's dog, is being kept by a hick that told him to leave, right? Because he does, like,
Mhm.
he knows he's Jewish and he doesn't like him for that. So
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
he
also he's snooping around his
yeah, he's
properties
snooping around his property, looking for the dog, but and he
while
rolls a
Jewish,
one.
which is
He rolls
just
a
the
one on
cherry on top.
his persuasion
Yeah.
check, trying
Mhm.
to convince the guy, like, "Hey, actually, that's my dog." The guy basically basically hits him with a slur, pumps a shotgun, and tells him, "Get the fuck out of here."
Mhm.
As any blue-blooded American might in that situation. Um,
Blue-blooded, red-blooded.
whatever. Yeah, red-blooded, blue-blooded. Anyway, um, yeah, so then he leads the mobsters back to that house in the middle of the night, to like, and as they're pounding on the door and trying to look through the windows, it's like, oh well, okay, like they're gonna,
Shootout
yeah, the
occurs.
shootout occurs, so he gets them killed too, gets the
And if
homeowner
that
killed,
was and if
loses the
that was the
dog.
climax of the craziness, that shootout,
Yeah,
like, but the problem is we've already blown up more
the
people
gas
than
station
die at that
across, yeah, we've
finale.
blown up the gas station across the street from
Yeah.
that house, and now we've come back. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we kind of blew our load too early in the
Yeah.
first part,
Kevin made a
and we
funny joke.
created
As we've learned, you got to be firm with your property lines around the Jews.
so, like, I just think I would cut that bit, you know, like, they can still get into the fight at the gas station, but part of the other problem is that, like, it makes me really dislike the character, which is not a problem in and of itself. But I really, when those guys come after them to be like, "Hey, give us back our money," it's like, yeah, well, you did con those guys, so I'm not
Yeah.
like really sympathetic to you when they're mad about it, And then you blow them up, and it's like, the movie kind of acts a little bit like it's self-defense, and it's like, no, it's not. No, it's not at
Not
all.
really. No.
You could give them their money back, is what you could do. But and if they didn't die in that scene and they got into the fight, they got sprayed with the gasoline and all that stuff, but they managed to drive off, that would be a little different.
Yeah.
Um, Another weird thing happens there is that, like, okay, after that whole big kerfuffle, gas station explodes, kills, presumably, we don't see it, but it looks like it ought to have killed all those guys. They all get covered in gasoline and then the gas station explodes. We see the dog run away, right? And I'm like, my first thought is like, oh, the dog is going to find its way back to its owner, right? Because that's a thing that happens, commonly enough in real life. And it seems like the purpose of showing the dog running away from the explosion is A, to establish that it's still alive, and B, to remind you of the dog for like what might happen later, right? But then nothing comes of it because the dog never comes back.
Yeah. No. After the Hicks shootout,
Yeah.
nothing happens. Yeah. With the
No, the
dog, it's
dog
just
never really amounts to anything. Obviously, they find the dog at the Hicks place,
there are
but
a
like
few.
the showing the dog running off, and I'm like, oh, that feels like it's obviously leading me to conclude something, and then we just don't do that at all. It's very strange.
There are a
Um,
few. So there's another thing like a hanging thread, for the movie that from earlier is it's the ping pong balls. The new and improved game changing ping pong balls that Marty wants to design. That I thought was going to play a more significant
Me
role.
too.
Um,
Especially because the bright orange ball was and the bright orange was such a big part of the marketing.
yeah,
If you go back to the intro, the blimp is this bright orange, his outfit is orange, the balls are orange, because he designs them specifically so they're easier to see, especially against white shirts and white backgrounds and stuff like that. And then that just doesn't really factor into the rest of the movie at all.
well, and
So
like
much
at
that
the end, I thought it was going to because they're both wearing
yes,
white shirts, right? But
yes,
it doesn't come back. You
but it
know,
doesn't. They don't even mention it.
no, like they
I
they
thought
they use this guy, his friend, goes out of his way to get a whole bunch of them manufactured at a time when doing orange ping pong balls was very difficult. Apparently, it was something that had never been done before, and I thought that was going to play a significant role in Marty's, I
branding
don't
and
know, like
career.
career or something. Like if he doesn't end up getting to go to the world championships, maybe he can still make it in ping pong in some way by contributing the ball that works better for the so it's like changing the game in that way, right? But what ends up happening is his friend gets mad at him, verbally abusing him, and he throws them all out the window, and then they're just kind of gone from the movie.
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, they're playing that game that's not part of the major championship or whatever. It's just part of this marketing event, sideshow thing. And they go to play the real game after he plays the heel and loses on purpose. They're like, okay, no, now I want a real match. And so they do, and they take off their jackets because it's time to get serious. And they both have white shirts on, and the ball's obviously white. And so I thought like maybe he would bring out one of the orange balls because like,
Yeah,
see, it's easier to see, or at least the movie would comment on it. The movie doesn't even address it because it seems like the movie forgot,
yeah,
honestly.
a little bit.
So this is what I mean. This movie has like loose threads that don't go anywhere, and like things that don't tie off, and things like, oh, that seemed like it was going to be something. I guess it wasn't. But to get back to the characters, Marty's obviously the main character, the one we're supposed to be, invested in, and I certainly was invested in the story. I found it entertaining all the way through, but just in terms of the resolution, it didn't really feel satisfying at all because he doesn't really learn a whole lot or grow aside from the okay, I guess I probably should take responsibility for that child, which like I said is good, but I would have
Yeah, it,
preferred, I think, either the movie humbles him more, like he loses ultimately, or So that way, when he returns home and he has to kind of give up that singular vision he's been obsessed with to the detriment of everyone around him, or he succeeds ultimately, but then meets a tragic end, which is what I thought was going to happen because what I
Because uncut
thought
gems.
might happen. What I thought might happen is that in the game where he's supposed to lose on purpose, you have that classic like boxing movie plot where it's like, "Ooh, is he gonna throw the fight or not?" Right?
Yeah,
That's the that's the classic boxing movie thing, and I always like that as a trope. It's always fun. And so I thought he was going to win that game and
yeah,
ruin everything, and then Kevin O'Leary's character might be so mad at him or that he does something that he's abandons him or something like that, and then ultimately the consequences of getting so many people killed throughout the movie would come back to bite him in the ass. Maybe he ends up in jail, he doesn't actually die necessarily, and maybe there's like a possibility for redemption later, but like the movie has to humble him somehow if we want to give him a happy ending, and it just doesn't. Or if it doesn't want to humble him at all because he wins and gets everything he thinks he wants, then I kind of want it to end tragically, you know?
yeah.
Like
I
Uncut
like that,
Gems.
or I like so Ephraim Winslow was mentioning Nightcrawler, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is about a very similar character, right? Like as somebody who is like ambitious to the point of like
Yeah. Less
amoral,
autistic Marty
right? Yeah,
Supreme is, but yeah.
yeah. And that movie ends with him, like he establishes, a media, like sort of a media empire in a way,
Mhm.
right? That takes a more like darkly ironic turn at the end
Satirical
of it, a
sort of thing. Yeah.
satirical, yeah. Um, you could have done that, like with this, it would have been one of those like you kind of look sideways at it and go, "Is that? Oh, are you saying that like professional ping pong is full of sociopaths?" That's kind of funny. Like that would have been an interesting way of going about it. But you can take it in that way and make it satisfying because I think the
Well,
ending
you
of
could do the
Nightcrawler is pretty
thing.
satisfying too. You
Yeah,
know?
and you could do the thing that Taxi Driver does where, like, there's a sort of irony at the end where, like, everyone is treating him like a hero for
Yeah,
killing that awful pimp, but we know because we watched the whole movie that he's not a hero really at all. You know? You could
yeah,
do something like this where, like, oh, now he's beloved and he got everything he wanted, but he ruined a lot of people's lives along the way that we know, but everyone else doesn't know. That's another way to go about it. Um, this way, I like the sort of pro family, pro fatherhood ending, but it's just
it
not enough.
feels like something that Timothy Chalamet probably like a note from Timothy Chalamet
Maybe.
given his media presence lately, right?
I could
Talking,
see why he likes that ending for
yeah.
sure. I just think we need more than that.
It
We
felt
need,
a little too meta for me at that point where I was like, oh, like is this because you have a thing with fatherhood right now? Like it's on your mind, and that is something that I don't know. It felt a little bit like making a nod to that as opposed to satisfyingly ending the narrative. Because
Mhm.
and someone mentioned earlier his feelings on being a father don't really factor into the movie. So there's not a good reason to believe that having a child is going to change him in any way, or that like his
Um,
behavior is going to shift now that he has a kid, right? Like I don't.
yeah. It's like, well, he knows that's his kid. He tries to deny it throughout the movie and just avoid responsibility for it, but like deep down, it's obviously his kid.
Yeah,
Everybody knows it. Um, So ultimately, once he's achieved, the best he can in terms of his dream, like he defeats the champion, even though it's not in the official championship. He returns home and he's like, okay, well now that that's like, I guess out of his system, or like now that he knows he's the best in his heart, he can kind
yeah.
of
I guess
return to normal life. But like, I just don't think that works really.
no.
Because I don't feel like obviously it's an improvement that he is not abandoning the woman he knocked up. That's an improvement, but I don't really feel like he's redeemed himself. And
No,
I
I don't think he has.
assume that the Josh Safdie would say that he wasn't trying to have either too redemptive or too tragic an ending. That like that the messiness is by design. I would bet he thinks that, but it is less narratively coherent and satisfying than his previous movies, which have much the previous two movies are much more tragic, and I
Yeah.
think they're stronger for it, especially given how terrible and how messy those stories are.
Yeah, well, and like I mean, Uncut Gems. So it's like not to draw too many comparisons to it, but I think it's kind of
Well, it's
impossible
very
not to
similar. It's
because
a
it
very
is
similar
really
movie.
close.
Yeah.
But in Uncut Gems, whoops, sorry, he wins his big final bet, right? Like his
Mhm.
one last Hail Mary, attempt hits in a miraculous way, and he gets shot in the head for it, right? Like he
Yeah.
gets what he wants, and right at the moment of him realizing that all of it has finally paid off, the gambler's high, he gets shot in the face, which
Yeah.
is fantastic,
Excellent ending.
excellent. Like
Excellent. Yes.
yeah, an incredible ending for that movie.
An
Um,
incredible movie. Go
yeah,
check it out if you haven't already seen it.
a good time. After all that he goes through, he ends up, like he ends up in jail, and losing his retarded brother to the, you know, to an institution, right?
Mhm.
And it makes sense because he's broken so many laws throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like he keeps moving like a shark, and he can't stop, and so he ends up, like off screen in jail, and it's a satisfying narrative ending. For this one, he does everything wrong, wins, and then gets the happy ending anyway. And it's just a little bit. It's just it doesn't feel great. It
Feels
doesn't
wrong.
feel, yeah, it feels
Yeah.
wrong. And I'm sure he intended for that to be the case, right? I think him putting babies crying over the credits of the film is kind of, I would assume, his way of, mocking us for sitting here talking about that particular point. Um,
Um,
but either way,
I don't that just reads to me as, like, a fun, like, added level of stress that, like, okay, so he goes to the hospital and he sees, the woman he impregnated, and he sort of, like, you know, uh, has a little moment with her, and then the nurse shows him the little nursery where they're all in their little, whatever whatever you call those little containers they're all in at the hospital. And he sees them and they're all sort of crying and wailing away, and he sees the one that's his, and he has this little moment where he kind of chokes up, with the joy at seeing what's his son. And then, the movie is clearly saying that he's like acknowledging that that's his son finally for the first time. It's a nice emotional moment. And then Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears starts playing. Great song. And then like it cuts to the credits, and you would expect it to just be the song now, but the baby's crying hangs over the entire credits, which is just very funny. And like I think what I love about their movies is how great they are at having people like talking over each other and yelling at each other constantly, and there's all this noise. They're chaotic, but they feel very organic and alive and stressful, and the movies have momentum. And I really like that sort of thing. And this just feels like a really like, wouldn't it be funny if the baby's crying just kept going? You know what I mean? I don't know if there's too much to read into it in terms of like the theme or what we're supposed to make of the ending. Or I don't know. It just occurred to me as like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if the baby's crying kept going? Wouldn't that be kind of
I would not be
stressful and annoying?
surprised given like just the way that artists and filmmakers tend to be, if he was like doing it as a way to mock people who have a problem with the ending. I wouldn't be shocked to find that out.
Maybe.
So like that's
Jen points out correctly that he's still kind of a dick to his family when he gets to the hospital,
yeah.
his mother in particular. Yeah, so it's like he doesn't really changed yet. I think maybe you could say that the movie is trying to say that he like might begin to change for the better now. But I think there's just too many horrible things that he says and does in the movie that just don't come back to bite him enough in the movie. Like
Yeah.
you might imagine that later he might run into some legal trouble or something like that with the law, but we don't get any of that in the movie, and the movie doesn't really even imply it either. It doesn't. He's not acting like he's on the run or anything. So I don't know. It's a little unsatisfying. Feels a little abrupt.
Lays Dreamore says the baby's crying seems more about legacy The opening of the movie parallels the shape of an egg with a ping pong ball, foreshadowing his actual legacy. So I see what you're saying in that
Hmm.
he's very concerned with legacy. He thinks it's going to be the ping pong ball. It ends up being the kid. Um, I don't
There could have
know
been
how.
more. There
Yeah,
could have been more with that if that's the main theme.
yeah. I
Because we
think
don't really see what changes his mind either.
just well, we do. It's just beating the Japanese guy in that second game is
Yeah,
like
but
what
you would
like
expect it to be something like losing instead.
in this yeah in a
If
movie like
that's the
this you
theme.
probably would yeah.
Yeah, because he gets what he wants and then like I don't understand how that leads to I guess I'm going to I guess my real legacy is this child because he won and he
He
got what he wanted.
won and he won but he didn't win in the way he wanted, right? So like I don't know why he it's like it's one of those things where it's like yeah that should be enough for him for the moment. Like the
Yeah.
next day he should be back, like based on everything that he has been so far. You would think he would just be right back to being like, actually, I think I can get into the tournament. Actually, I should like like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's
I
yeah,
apologize to the right people, I think I'll be able to get in for next year or however many years in the future. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, because he does get what he wants. And so the idea that like, oh, his legacy isn't the ping pong ball, it's the kid. And it's like, okay, well, it was the ping pong ball because he won. I know it's not the ideal way, but like, yeah, he wouldn't give up on that dream based on what we see in the finale. I don't believe it anyway.
well, yeah, he's satisfied so he can start being a decent person is kind of what the movie is
Kind of,
saying. Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, which
And I just don't think that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. So, yeah, then Lays Dremore is this is exactly the promise or problem with the movie. He never entertains the idea of being a father because he can't conceive of failure. So there is no proper arc here,
Yeah.
which I agree with. I agree with that.
I think we talked about alternate versions of the ending. I think the one that would require the least amount of rewrites would just be that everything else plays out the same, but ultimately he still loses
Yeah,
in that final match. And then he goes back. Like, ah, okay, well, I'm not the best, or at least not yet. He needs to be humbled a little bit. And that wouldn't change all that much. But I think that would okay, so if literally nothing else changed except that in the real match where he's playing for real this time, he still loses just barely to
yeah,
the Japanese guy. And then he returns home, everything else is the same. He sees the baby at the end. That would be better. Wouldn't be perfect. I would want to change more, but that would be better.
yeah. I think I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he realizes he's not the best, and that like his purpose. Maybe you can make that argument in that version, right? That like his purpose, he's misread what his purpose is, the purpose he believes that he has. Because
Yes.
he'll yell at his baby mama that she's just sort of there, right? Like she's
Oh yeah.
like he says some really truly awful things to her
Oh
in
yeah,
that
he
scene,
does.
where he's basically just like, no, I'm like essentially imbued with divine purpose and potential. You're really like, you're not really you're nothing. You're nothing.
Yeah. Well,
You're a
I
stepping
want
stone.
to
Yeah.
I have the dialogue here. So this is at one point in the movie. So the only thing that's so we didn't really talk about any of the other characters yet, but all of the characters kind of suck in varying degrees,
Yes.
including her. Uh, including her. So she's not the poor innocent victim. However, after she tries to like, is this after she cons him with the fake black eye or no?
I
When he yells at her, is
yes.
that before? Is this
Yes.
after?
I think this is after.
Okay, so at one point in the movie, to try to get him to take care of her after her husband finds out that she cheated on him and that the baby isn't his, she comes with a sob story to Marty about how he hit her. That is her husband. And she's got the black eye and everything. And then Marty, in turn, goes and, like you said, brains that guy with his ping pong trophy. Later, it will be revealed in a scene where she's crying that that black eye makeup is makeup. It's fake. She didn't get a black eye. He didn't actually hit her. He just like told her to get out or whatever it was, right? And so it's like, oh, she's a little bit of a conner as well. Um, so after that reveal, there's a scene where he really lays into her and says some pretty awful things. So like part of this is motivated by realizing that she lied to him, but he's been lying to her constantly, so who cares? Um, he says, "All right, I got to tell you something, Rachel. It's not intended to be mean. I have a purpose. You don't. If you think that's some sort of blessing, it's not. It puts me at a huge life disadvantage. It means I have an obligation to see a very specific thing through. And with that obligation comes sacrifice, okay? My life is the product of all the choices I've had to make. Your life is the product of I don't even know what your life is the product of. You're making it up as you go. That's the kind of person you are. That's not the kind of person I am, okay? You're responsible for the shitty decisions you've made. I never told you to get married, not once. You cannot pawn them off onto me. I understand." And she says, "I understand." Right?
Yeah.
And then, is there more to it? That's the basic gist of it. Okay, no, it keeps going.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
He
was
says,
gonna
"How
say
much do you
finish it
make
up.
at the year at the pet store?" And she says, "About 1,200." He says, "Okay, in case you forgot, I have a week to make 1,500, not including airfare. I need to focus right now. No distractions." It's like, she says, "I'm really sorry." She says, "No, it's okay. It goes without saying I'm in no position to settle down right now. Get that out of your mind. I will not settle down right now, okay? If you're serious about leaving Ira, I will not abandon you. As your friend, I will help you. We'll do the research. We'll find a great maternity home. They'll take you in. They'll ensure the baby's got a good family." Um, and then he says, like, "Go home, Rachel. Just go home." Yada yada. That's the gist of that, right? So this is him, refusing to take any responsibility for A, it being her baby,
His
B,
his baby. Yeah.
sorry, that's what I mean, his baby, B, that like it's his fault that their marriage broke up, at least 50% of it, the rest is hers, and then he says some really cruel things about how like you're an NPC.
Yeah.
I'm a player character and you're an NPC, essentially, right? So uh yeah, he's a pretty mean guy when it comes down to it. He's very manipulative. There's a thing he does a lot in the movie which I found really interesting. Like he's a very interesting and compelling character. I don't really have a problem with him being a scumbag until the ending, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
you don't really know it's not going to end tragically. And if it ends tragically, you go, okay, cool, this makes sense. But one of the things his character does a lot that I find really interesting is that he says some pretty blunt and sometimes cruel things to people, but he adds "I love you" at the end. He kind of like love bombs people. It's a thing. Like he'll get into an argument with someone he knows, someone he has a relationship with, and he says some pretty rude, selfish, or petty things, but then he'll be like, "Hey, I love you" at the end. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like to paper it over because he's very manipulative. That's his great flaw as a character. He's selfish and manipulative. And sometimes the scenes of him being really cocky and manipulative are really kind of charming or even impressive. Like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and there are a lot of these, is when he's talking to Kevin O'Leary. This is the guy who originally he was going to. I can't remember where this is in the movie in terms of because the plans keep changing a lot as the movie goes along. But there's a part where he insults this guy, Shark Tank guy, and the Shark Tank guy says like, "Get the fuck out of here," and he says, "No, I'm gonna stay. I think you owe me a lunch." So like they're at a restaurant, they're having a meeting. He insults him to his face, and he says, "Get the hell out of here," and he says, "Nah, I'm gonna stay here and eat a lunch." Like,
He basically implies that he's bootlicking the people that killed his son
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah,
trying
yeah.
to yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is because like, he says something inappropriate and the guy's like, "Oh, you think this is funny?" He's like, "No, what I think is funny that you're trying so hard to sell to the Japanese when they killed your son." And this really offends him. No
As you
surprise.
might expect.
And he says, "Get the fuck out of here." And he says, "Nah,
Nah.
I'm gonna stay right here. I think you owe me a lunch." And then just sits there. Like the balls on this guy is actually really like fun and impressive. So like that's where the movie really shines, where like his charisma and
Yeah.
confidence,
Well, like and
like
the interview with the ping pong magazine, like early in the movie when he's at the tournament at the world championship the first time around, right? And he says to the writers at the or for the
oh god,
magazine,
yeah,
yeah, like I'm gonna do to my opponent who
light
like
ski or something like that. He
yeah
had
like
some very obviously Jewish
an
name like
obviously
that.
Jewish name. I'm gonna do to him what Auschwitz couldn't.
Yeah.
It's like
And
his opponent was in Auschwitz and
yeah,
survived.
and has the tattoo on the arm and everything.
Yeah, and he goes, and
And
like they all kind of stop and they go, Jesus, like I'm Jewish, I'm allowed to say that. And it was like, that's really fucking funny.
the way it's played
The-
is really funny because he said, "I'm gonna do to him. I'm gonna do what to Kleitschke what Auschwitz didn't." And then there's a pause, and one guy goes, "Jesus Christ." It's a very funny moment. It's edited and timed very, very well. And he says, "It's okay, I'm allowed to say that I'm Jewish." And then he says, like, if you really think about it, I'm Hitler's worst nightmare. And they're like,
yeah.
"What?"
What?
He's like his like ego and arrogance and confidence is like really, really, really supremely, pun intended, entertaining. And that is the best stuff in the movie. And it does make the whole experience fun and enjoyable. And there are many, many, many other examples of this where like he uses his charisma to his advantage in like rather clever ways, and he says a lot of fun and funny things. Um, like when he first calls Gwyneth Paltrow's character, whose name I can never remember, because it's Kay Stone is her character's name, but I just see Gwyneth Paltrow the whole time. Um, he like calls her up on the phone, knows she's married or whatever, but is hitting on her anyway. And his like bold strategy is like, oh, like you don't understand. Like I just ordered one of everything on the menu from room service, and I can't possibly eat it myself. And she's like, oh, so you want me to come to your room? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, should I bring my husband? He's like, yeah, bring your husband too. Like, he's very like confident and bold in a way that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's definitely like the best parts about his character.
So a message we missed, actually, this is kind of interesting. Wasserman was saying if at the end he isn't allowed in the hospital and he starts to understand that this is actually something important that he has lost by pursuing, what he was pursuing, maybe that could be impactful. And I think
Yeah,
that is a really good idea, actually, for how it should end or could end. That's a
yeah,
great way to show that he doesn't get what he wants and what he needs to,
yeah,
because by the end
yeah.
he kind of does.
Yeah, basically, he needs to only get one or the other,
Yeah.
right? That's the shortest way to say it. Like, because you mentioned the lyrics in the song that are playing at the one point, like the what you want and what you need dichotomy is definitely part of the theme of the movie, and he should only get one or the other, and he gets both kind of, and that's just not as satisfying.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a lot of fun to be had in all the wacky scenarios and situations. Some of them I think get a little over the top. Like but I like they go to he needs money desperately, so he goes with his friend Tyler the Creator to a bowling alley that also has ping pong, and seeing their strategy for how they act as ringers and fleece these people out of their money. It's a really interesting little con they have set up. It's a little convoluted. It's like it's a complicated game they play, but it works, and so that's kind of fun to watch play out. Um, like him, like wooing Gwyneth Paltrow's character is like fun because it's all his charisma essentially. There's a really fun scene that I really like where he is Gwyneth Paltrow is so this takes place in the 1950s. She's like a former movie star, but she's kind of like washed up now. She was like a silent film movie star, and she's like trying to make a comeback, sort of what's going on with her. And she's in a theater production, and he goes to see her rehearse, right? And he watches the production, and he's like, "Hey, you were great, but these guys you're working with, they suck. You need better people around you." And then he just kind of jumps in and starts giving notes in the middle of rehearsal, and he's like, hey, by the way you're holding this knife, and like there's some dramatic scene where he needs to threaten someone with a knife. He's like, the way you're holding, no one would ever hold a knife like this. And they're like, hey man, like it's theater, we're not going for realism. He's like, well, if you're not going for realism, why don't you make it fun? And he does the thing where he puts it on the table and smacks the blade so it goes flying up into the air, and then he grabs it and grabs the guy. He's got like that natural showman energy,
Yeah.
which is pretty fun. And I do think that's just a good lesson in general. Like, so he's like, okay, if you want to be realistic, you should do it like this. And he's like, well, if you don't want to be realistic, then at least have some fun with it. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is kind of the ethos of the Safdie brothers movies in a way. There's a lot of things that are kind of grounded and realistic, but when they're not, it's just like, well, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do a whole bunch of crazy, wacky shit. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that some of these scenes are really, really quite fun, really enjoyable. He's a fun character to watch, for sure.
Yeah, when like all of the antics that he gets up to, are a lot of fun. For everything that we're talking about, like I like the ending, the sports drama ending doesn't really feel satisfying. Watching him go through all this hectic bullshit of his own making is really entertaining. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun and it's one of those movies like Uncut Gems where every time he makes the wrong decision, to move himself forward, right? Then it's the wrong decision. It kind of puts you on the edge of your seat every time, you know?
Yeah.
It's really well done in the way that Josh Safdie, knows how to do. He really knows how to hit that exact
Oh
beat.
yeah. And there's a lot of I've mentioned several times that the movie is wild, and they're one of the things that like really I just like there's no way in hell you would have seen it coming in the best possible way is they're on the run and they need money and he's trying to figure out what to do about it. They check into like a really cheap kind of sleazeball motel, right? And they're up in the room
The guy tells
and
him, "You can't take a shower. If you want one with a shower, you have to pay $2.50 extra." So he pays $2.50 extra, and he goes to take. They're up in the room, going to
yeah,
take the
and
shower.
he's in the bathtub. That's also the shower. He's taking a shower, and then right in the middle of like an otherwise kind of hectic argument scene, the whole bathtub just falls through the floor
Falls
of
to
the
the
bathroom.
floor onto a mobster's arm and crushes it over top of another bathtub because the mobster was washing his dog in the
Yeah, he was
bathtub.
giving his dog a bath in the bathtub, and then the floor above him, Marty Supreme's bathtub falls through the floor and like crushes his arm, and it just like obliterates all the bones in his arm, and the dog is like whimpering, and it's like
Well, the dog's not hurt. He's just freaking out because he's like now
he's kind of
trapped.
hurt.
No,
But well,
no.
because he talks about having to take him to the vet.
Well, yeah, but he was gonna take him to the vet because he had a weird breathing problem. Like he was
Oh,
breathing
okay,
weird.
right.
That wasn't because of the bathtub. That was
Sure,
because of something
sure.
else. So like this
You're
guy
right.
was cleaning his dog up, getting ready to take it to the vet, and then a bathtub fell on his arm and crushed it. A bathtub with a naked ping pong playing Jew in it crushed his arm. Hate it when that happens.
Yeah,
Like
if I had a nickel, right? Um, and so like stuff like that is legitimately really kind of like buck wild and
Well, and then
batshit crazy.
then it proceeds to turn into a shouting match. Like there are
Yeah.
paramedics trying to stabilize the guy whose arm just got crushed.
Meanwhile, he's gonna like because he's so desperate for money, he's really concerned with yelling at the hotel owner to see if he can get his money back and more for all the the drama this has caused him. And you know what I mean? So it's,
Yeah,
it's just it's crazy. Everyone's yelling over top of each other. Everyone, like someone just got their arm obliterated. There's a lot of fun stuff like
the
that in the
dog.
movie.
And then the dog is barking like crazy, and everybody's yelling at each other, and like just,
Mhm.
they're arguing over. Is like I didn't say that. I told you not to take a shower. It's like no. You said that I paid you extra to get a room where I could take a shower. They're like oh, fucking. It's and Tyler the creator is there, like trying to side with his boy. It's
Mhm.
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's yeah, and
it's pretty
stressful
fun.
and yeah.
Briefly, I want to talk about the ping pong scenes themselves. I found them filmed and edited in a very compelling way.
Oh
And
yeah.
no doubt, I would bet money that the ball is CGI much of the time, um, but not in a way that was really distracting. I thought it looked good, but I just it seems like that's what it was.
Well, unless
You know?
Timothy Chalamet just went full method and
Became not
learned
just good at ping pong, but like excellent
excellent
at ping
at ping
pong.
pong.
And I
Yeah.
and I have no doubt that he trained and is probably pretty good at ping pong now, but I think a lot of these scenes, the ball is CGI, but not in a way that looks bad, it just I would bet that's how they did it. Let's talk about the music briefly because this is a movie that takes place in the 1950s, but there's some soundtrack that is used that is all from like the 80s, and the score itself, like Uncut Gems, like Good Time, I think it's all the same guy, is very synthy, very beep boop beep boop beep boop, which I think works as far as like the sports movie stuff goes. But how did you feel about all the very 80s coded music in this movie about the 50s?
Uh, well, I mean, it does kind of take you out of it a little bit. There are points where you forget that this is supposed to be 1950.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how I felt about it
yeah,
too. It,
except for the fact that like, one of the I mean the biggest driving plot point is that he has to get to a rebuilding Japan to,
mhm.
crush their national spirit yet again, right?
Yeah.
That's that's
Yeah,
really like that and the fact that he's friends with a Auschwitz prisoner who once covered his body with
oh,
honey.
we're gonna come back to that. That's the most bizarre, pointless thing in the entire film, easily,
Bizarre,
hands
pointless,
down.
and fucking hysterical. Like
We'll
cracked
come
me
back
the
to that.
fuck up.
I was grossed out. You know what? Let's just talk about it. We're talking about it. So at one point, he is at a restaurant with his friend who was the ping pong champion who he defeated at the beginning of the movie. He's kind of an older guy. He's like on his way out, you know,
Yeah, well,
past his prime.
he was in Auschwitz, like in
He
a
was in
concentration
Auschwitz.
camp.
Yes, he's got the numbers on his arm to prove it. But he sees Kevin O'Leary and Gwyneth Paltrow at a table across the restaurant. And honestly, there's a scene when he looks at Gwyneth Paltrow that's very reminiscent of
It's
the scene from
sunny.
It's Always Sunny. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yes.
But he buys them. He offers to buy their whole meal, and so that brings Kevin O'Leary over, who doesn't know who he is, to be like, "I hear you want to buy our meal. Like, what's that about? Do you want something? I don't like accepting favors from people I don't know, that sort of thing." And at one point, to encourage him to like stay talking to him basically as a power trip move. He's like, "Hey, Kleitsky or whatever his name is." He's like, "Hey, why don't you tell him the story of what happened to you with the honey?" And so then he tells him this story. Hugh, why don't you tell the story as best you remember it? Because and then
Yeah,
we
I mean,
see
I
this
don't.
play
Yeah,
out.
because yeah. So I don't have it in front of me, but what he
What do you remember of it?
so he tells him that he was really Kleitschke tells Kevin O'Leary that he was really good with his hands, and the Germans needed someone to defuse bombs outside of the camp. And because he was really good at, steady, he had steady hands, they decided to pick him, but they would send him out alone, out into the woods to defuse the bombs away from the camp so they wouldn't go off in there. And one day, he followed a honeybee back to its hive, and he smoked a cigarette and put the bees to sleep so he could steal the hive. And he rubbed the honey all over his body, put his uniform back on, and then when he got back into the camp, he took his uniform off and let all of the other prisoners in his wing lick the honey off of his body for
For
nourishment.
sustenance, yes.
And we watch this
And we see
happen.
this happen. This isn't just a story that we're like watching him tell at a table. Like we're cutting to shots of all these things happening, including all the grown men licking honey off this guy's like hairy Jewish
Very,
body.
very hairy, like Donnie Donowitz, the Bear Jew kind of levels of
Yes.
hairy. I mean, literally the Bear Jew, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Um it reminds me, Daily Dose says it reminds me of the Eric Andre Fruit Loops man. Like my body is now your communion. Please eat from me. So the scene is gross.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's gross to watch. It adds nothing to the movie. Hugh, you said you found
I
it quite
thought it
funny.
was I found it really funny because it is gross. It goes nowhere. It doesn't come back. It's very clearly just Josh Safdie being like, this is fucked up. We're gonna put this
Yeah,
on. We're gonna film this.
check this crazy
Check
shit
this.
out.
Yo,
Yeah.
look at what I did.
um, it's I don't know why it's here. I can appreciate that just like fuck it, I'm putting this in the movie. You're like, okay, man, but there's nothing else like it. I think that's if I'm gonna actually be critical of it. Not only does it not go anywhere, but this movie isn't really concerned with grossing you out in any other scene, really. There's some blood, there's some people getting killed, but this is not one of those movies that's really like going for gross out stuff. very often. It's just this little thing.
Just that's the only scene, which is another reason why
Yeah.
I found it really funny was because it's just, like it comes out of nowhere in the first act of the movie. We don't do anything with anything with that kind of imagery ever again.
No, it doesn't really factor in thematically at all in any way.
Yeah. Some
Um,
Karai Sky thought it was supposed to be an example of the sacrifices you make for your goals theme. If the sacrifice is just
no, that's like
is
a selflessness thing that he
yeah,
does, and I think the only connection you could really argue is that like he's not like Marty,
yeah,
you know, because
Marty would never let a bunch of starving men lick honey from his
well, he
nipples.
wouldn't do anything for anyone else at
Yeah.
all, really.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I suppose, yeah, but we don't use it that way. We could use it hypothetically as a story or an image of like actual selflessness, as gross as it is. Um, but we don't use it that way. It's just like, isn't this some crazy shit? I'm gonna make you watch. I'm gonna make you watch this scene.
It feels like the kind of thing that almost like I could believe that he heard it from his grandfather and like could never tell if his grandfather was joking or not. Right?
Yeah, or like
That level of yeah.
or just like it's a story that's stuck with him, and he's just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna find an excuse to put it in a movie someday. Like that's how
Yeah.
it feels a bit to me.
Yeah.
That in a combination of like, I'm gonna make you watch this fucked up shit.
Because I
It's
think
like
it's yeah.
you know what? And the character kind of disappears anyway. That's also true.
Yes.
Um, it feels a little unnecessary to put it mildly, but you know,
Yeah.
it is a scene in a movie that happened that I saw with my eyes. So, but just to circle back to close the loop on the music is I agree that the use of all that synthy music is fun. I like the score. I would listen to the score on its own. I probably will do that later actually. But it does kind of make you forget that this is supposed to be the 1950s. I would say
Yeah.
it's a
A
little
couple
distracting,
times.
takes you
Yeah.
out of it a little bit. Not the best use of music I've seen in a movie recently, but you know, good songs. Like the one of the very first songs we hear is, oh god, what's it called? Can't remember it right now. Um, it's like the opening song. What's it called?
Uh
Good 80s song.
you're the music guy.
Um, well, I can't remember it right now. But that's fine. There are two really solid needle drops in the movie. The one at the very end is, you know, Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears, which is an excellent song. And then
Oh,
but that
the opening song is Changed by Tears for Fears.
right, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great song. Um well, there's a really fun title sequence to this movie. I don't know if I love it quite as much as the one in Uncut Gems, but the title sequence to this movie is we cut from him having sex with the, you know, the Odessa, whatever her name is. And then we like zoom in to like follow the sperm going up into, you know, the
Yeah,
egg and
going up
everything
and
like that.
fertilizing the egg. Yeah, not
Yeah, and
quite.
then the
It's like I in Uncut Gems, the opening scene being a colonoscopy kind of just
yeah.
tells you that what you're about to watch is a really close up study of an asshole.
Yeah, it's more
That's yeah,
meaningful. Also, like where it goes from like it's a close up of a colonoscopy, but like it's also like supposed to be like the inside of the gem as well,
yeah,
you know. And then when it's a reveal that actually we've been in a man's colon the whole time, like that's funny. And then
yeah,
in the end, at the very end of the movie, we zoom into the bullet hole in his head. Like that's fun too. This it's just like haha sex from being a little critical. But I
sex,
do
but it
like when
turns
we
into a ping pong ball.
yeah, the fertilized egg becomes the ping pong ball as it's flying. You're like, that's
Yeah,
fun.
that is
I
fun.
like it. I do think the sex in this movie is a little gratuitous. In a way that like I didn't really feel like it was necessary. I didn't particularly enjoy how prolonged some of the sex scenes were. You know, not terrible. I've seen worse in that regard, but it was just like, okay, let's move it along. I don't, I'm not enjoying watching this really. Um, and you know, they were long for how little like they were contributing to the story, is what I would say. Um,
Yeah, the one that really like that I really, the one that I really liked was the part after Gwyneth Paltrow's character comes out after he's come back and begged her. Like he's returned the costume jewelry that he stole from
Yes.
her, and he's tried to be kind of charming about it. He's like, "I stole this from you," like trying to play it off as if he hadn't already tried to pawn it and found out that it was worthless.
Yeah.
Um, but she comes out to him and gives him a real piece of jewelry that he can sell. And instead of just moving on, right? He immediately goes to try to fuck her in the park, outdoors.
Hmm.
He goes to he performs sex acts with her outdoors in the park in a nice part of the city, and of course they get caught, which means that he now has lost the necklace that was going to pay
The
for
whole
his trip
point.
to Japan, right? So like
Yeah.
he can't control, like he gets what he needs and he has to go and try to take what he wants to, right? And that
Yeah.
is what ends up causing the problem because he's in the clear once he has that necklace.
Oh yeah, he actually accomplished his goal finally,
Yeah,
but then he just can't help himself.
exactly.
And so it leads to more problems, and you would think narratively that it leads to his ultimate demise, but it doesn't really do that. You know what I mean? Like the whole movie is set up to be like he just can't help himself, and that will end up with a tragic ending. That's like what the whole thing feels like it's setting up to be, and then it
But yeah,
doesn't do that.
once again, does not really work out that way. And I think that that's kind of like because that seems to be Josh Safdie's, or at least the Safdie brother, like Josh Safdie's like bread and butter, is he can write those kinds of situations and characters really, really well and in a
Oh yeah,
really compelling way. So when he tries to go for the satisfying ending at the end of it all, it just doesn't come really like it doesn't come across really well, right? It doesn't round out the arc the way it does in Uncut Gems, where like
yeah.
it's
You gotta earn. Well, you
yeah,
gotta earn any ending you do, but I think you have to earn for a movie like this. You really gotta earn a happy ending, and that
yeah,
he didn't really do that, as far as I'm concerned. So, like I said, Marty Supreme is not the only unlikable character in this movie. There's also we mentioned that let's
Rachel.
see, Odessa,
Rachel
Rachel.
is rather unlikable as well.
Yeah, we already talked about her. We talked
It's
about the
one of
big
the
reveal.
things that I had said when I was leaving the theater was it feels like Josh Safdie watched The Queen's Gambit and went, yeah, but what if we did that and except about ping pong and also everybody sucks. Like everybody's a terrible person. Let's do that.
Yeah. We talked about her big terrible thing she does, which is obviously pretending to be the battered housewife to gain the sympathies of Marty, and so that Marty will take care of her because she thinks that's necessary because she's kicked out by her husband, but she pretends like he hit her so that Marty will feel more compelled to take care of her, right? So she's like looking out for herself, but in a rather uh less than moral manner. And when they actually end up spending a decent chunk of the back half of the movie together, they're like partners in crime in a way that's like, I guess, kind of fun, even if you don't like either of them. It's entertaining to watch.
Yeah. I mean
She's like helping.
she hits the hick with the car that she stole for him. There's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the point where she tries to blackmail the mobster. You know, like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that's kind of funny to watch her do that. She's getting in over her head. There's a lot of people getting in over their heads. That's basically all of the Safdie movies' careers at this point. Um, let's see who else. Tyler, the creator's character, his name is Wally. He's not the worst, I would say. But he's doing the conning with Marty, conning those people out of ping pong. It's quite funny the way they do it. So they go to this bowling alley that also has ping pong. And so Tyler the creator, his character is really a taxi driver. And so in the bit, he's a taxi driver who just got mugged by one of his last passengers. So he's got like tissue paper in his nose, like he got punched really hard and everything, got a bloody nose. And so the one guy like is actually rather sympathetic to him. And so like that's how he sort of, you know, manipulates and cons them
Yeah,
as part
yeah.
of the grift. So he's not really the worst guy. He's got a family he's trying to take care of, but he's doing some criminal shenanigans. And obviously
He's hustling people, you know.
he's
A
hustling
guy's
people,
got to
but
have a hobby.
obviously he's part of the scenario where they get attacked and they blow up the gas station and kill all those people, but ultimately it's really more Marty's fault, I think you could say, for sure.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
I would say so. He's probably of the main people, he kind of sucks the least, I would say.
yeah.
I don't know if
Probably. I think
you agree with that.
yeah. I think I was him or the fat friend who lives with his dad and makes the ping pong
Oh yeah,
balls.
he's fine.
Yeah,
Like I like his little bit where he comes up with and manages to make the orange ping pong and the packaging for it. And Marty's actually like legitimately really impressed with his creativity. Because he also works at the dad's shoe store, but he's not the salesman that Marty is. But then he sort of reveals that he actually has these talents creatively. There's a conversation that Marty has with his dad trying to talk about how like, oh, you should make him the manager, not me, or something like that, right? And he's like, nah, he's not successful. He's still living at home with his parents. He hasn't made anything of himself. But he has this tiny little baby arc where he proves himself creatively by coming up with this really great packaging that Marty actually really, really likes. But then that thread doesn't really go anywhere. He leaves the movie after dumping all the orange ping pong balls out on the street, and
yeah. I
that's
mean, he
really
really just kind of gets manipulated and then disappears, right? Because like
yeah.
they trick him by telling him that that Marty or Rachel is Marty's sister who's pregnant, and needs a place to. And then he gives her a place to stay, lets her, or no, she steals his dad's car without him knowing in the middle of the night to come out to, to
Yeah,
come out to the
because she
place.
sucks as well.
Yeah, because she
Yes.
sucks as well. And then but he goes through the whole thing, makes the orange ping pong balls for Marty, and then when he basically gets fed up with them stealing his dad, like, stealing his dad's car and, like being loud in the middle of the night and tells them to leave, they start verbally berating him, and
Yeah.
insulting him, and having an argument and revealing that Rachel is not his sister and actually she's pregnant with Marty's baby, and then he gets in a big fight with his dad in the middle of the night. So like that guy really kind of gets the shaft throughout the whole movie. Um,
Yeah, he does.
and yeah, there's Ira. Ira kind of sucks because we know he's abusive, and well, we know he's not really abusive, is he? Because he doesn't hit her.
No, he doesn't.
No, yeah,
He's obviously very no, he actually doesn't do anything wrong at all as far as I remember, unless I'm missing
no,
something.
he's
Because
very
he
suspicious of her, and it's
yes,
like
and
played
rightly
off, yeah,
so.
rightly so, because she was cheating on him and is pregnant with somebody else's kid.
And he's
And
upset about that, as you
yeah,
might
he's
imagine.
upset about that, and he, doesn't resort to actual violence. She fakes that. Yeah, so that's not
Yeah.
really. Yeah, he's not.
Unless I'm misremembering him saying something particularly cruel, I think he's fine, if I
No, he
remember
actually
correctly.
has a really funny line at one point when Marty's mom opens the door because she hears him screaming, and she comes and opens the door to see him, and he goes, "Oh, hey, congratulations, your mother-in-law is here. Your new mother-in-law is here. You're gonna be a
Yeah.
grandma, Mrs. Mauser."
He just drops it on her
Just,
like
like
that,
drops
yeah.
her out like immediately, like, handling it quite well,
All
yeah,
things considered,
for a man in the
absolutely.
50s, for a blue collar man in the 50s, he did handle
Yeah.
it quite well. Um,
Yeah, especially with the reveal that he didn't actually hit her. Um, okay, so the other big character I wanna talk about is Kevin O'Leary's character, whose name is Milton Rockwell,
yes, the
right?
vampire.
The the vampire. He was born in 1601. He is married to Gwyneth Paltrow, who is the silent film star who's trying to make a comeback. He's a businessman. He owns a big pen company, Rockwell Pens. I don't remember the name of the company.
Rockwell
It
Inc.
doesn't matter. Rockwell Inc., right? And so eventually Marty is like, "Hey, you're a rich guy. Like, table tennis is a big thing." He's like trying to get money. He's trying to get someone to sponsor him essentially, so he can go to the World Championships again because he currently doesn't have the money to go to Japan. Eventually, Milton Rockwell will pitch him the idea of like, "Oh, I'll bring you to Japan as long as you compete in this like marketing event that we mentioned before where you're going to get a rematch with the guy that you lost to in the world championship
Endo.
last
His name
time.
is Endo.
Endo, you're going to face off against Endo, and you're going to lose, right? Because this is
In an
staged, this is
exhibition match,
professional
yeah.
wrestling, this is the Harlem Globetrotters type of thing. But Marty's a bit arrogant and prideful and kind of a purist, idealist athlete kind of guy, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do it. No, because I want to play him for real. Sportsmanship, all that sort of stuff, honor. I won't do it." And he's like, "Okay, fine. You don't want to do it." Eventually, after several million things go wrong, he has the opportunity to go back to Milton Rockwell and say, "Hey, all right, when I said earlier that I wouldn't do it, that was really dumb of me. Please give me another chance." And Milton Rockwell does this really funny thing where he doesn't want to do it, but Marty is like just outside his window, like trying to get him, like, please, please, just give me another chance. And he's like, "All right, hop in." He's like, "Yeah, really?" And he goes to walk over to the other side of the car, and he tells his driver to drive off.
Yeah.
He just leaves him there, which is pretty funny. Where we really see the worst of Milton Rockwell at the very end of the movie, or towards the very end of the movie. This is kind of like last ditch effort to appeal to him, like, "Please, will you give me another shot? I will play the heel. I will lose on purpose. I'll do whatever you want. Please, please take me to Japan." And he's like, "All right. Well, like, what are you gonna do for it? What are you willing to do for it?" He says, "Anything." And he's like, "Okay." And basically he's like, they're at a party. Like, there's still, it's not like quite as bustling as the party was at one point, but there's still quite a few people there. Some of Rockwell's friends are there. And he's like, "All right, like, drop your pants and bend over the couch." And he's going to like spank him with a ping pong paddle
Yes.
in front of everyone and humiliate him and say, like, "This one's for me, this one's for my son," and all that sort of stuff. And like, in a quite sadistic way, I would say, like, he's really taking joy in humiliating him in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's a really good scene because it's like, oh, how far is Marty willing to go? Is he willing to lower himself to this level? Is he willing to have his pride damaged to get what he wants? Like, what is it that he really wants? Is it the pride or is it the winning? All this sort of stuff, right? And so ultimately, he proves that he's willing to undergo that humiliation ritual in order to get what he wants. It's a great scene, but it's kind of like, oh, geez, there's something wrong with this guy. Uh,
Yeah.
Rockwell, that is. It's a good scene though. It's really
Yeah,
compelling.
it is. I mean, it's a very it's a very good and like believable scene, right? Like he's
Yeah.
taking glee in getting some revenge. Like he doesn't even know that Marty has like fucked his wife at this point,
Yes.
really. Like he just knows that this is the guy who insulted him for trying to do business in Japan.
Hmm.
Yeah, like basically,
Insulted the
yeah.
memory of his son.
Yeah.
Told him
Oh,
off.
yeah, because he also called, like, in order to find out where he was in that scene where he comes up to the side of the car and then they drive off, right? In order to find out where he was in that
Oh,
scene,
right. Yeah.
he called his secretary pretending to be someone from his son's platoon.
Yes. And so,
And
oh, I have some of his effects,
I
and I
have
want to
some of
get
his
them to his
things that I was
dad.
going to give to his dad.
That's a
It's
fucked up
fucked
thing to do.
up. It's so
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, and so like all this stuff is working for me, in terms, and I like that he has to sort of like lose essentially at this moment to Rockwell in order to get what he wants, and like like put his pride below what ultimately he wants to do, and it sort of makes you root for later in the movie when, like, I really thought they were going to do the whole like, will he throw the fight trope, because I thought like he's going to do this, get to Japan, and then ultimately decide to win that match instead of losing on purpose.
That's what I was kind of hoping for, right?
Yeah, me
Especially
too.
because like he sneaks out of the line to go talk to the guy who runs the tournament, and he goes and apologizes, at first, but the guy basically tells him is like, "You're not competing. The bracket's set. We're not going to do that. We're not going to rewrite the
Yeah.
bracket. You're not entering. Like this is it. you're
Yeah, he
here. This
calls
is
him an
it.
entitled American and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought I was like, oh, perfect time to get up there and do the, the will he or won't he throw the fight, and then like he's supposed to lose like 21-14, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, great, perfect. He gets up there and he goes 1 point over, over 14,
Yeah.
which causes everybody to kind of freak out, and like Rockwell gets up, causes a pause on the fight, or calls a pause on the on the match, like calls him
Hmm.
over to the side and gives him the vampire speech, and then he goes out there and he either wins or he loses by 2, loses
Yeah.
21-23, something like that, right? Like, it's a little messy to have him throw that match and then start immediately running around being like, no, 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 actually, that was a fake match. We're gonna play for real now. You want to play for real now, right? You
And he
definitely,
has to
yeah,
win the crowd over in order to
yeah,
make that happen because the organizers are like, all right, that's it. That's the end of the event. But then eventually he does win over the crowd by basically getting through to one guy who clearly understands English, who in Japanese tells everyone else in the crowd that, like, oh, that was staged. Now we get to see the real show, the real match. They're going to play for real. It's messy and complicated. And kind of drags it out longer, which is like it's interesting, but I would like it better because you can accomplish the same thing within the fake match, right? Because if he's refusing to lose at 14 like was the plan, then Endo would clearly sense that, oh, he's not throwing it, and would probably, you could do this all in body language, see him like start to play a bit more passionately now that
yeah,
he's understood what's actually happening. And then, because ping pongs win by 2, it could go a while. You could stretch this out within the one quote unquote fake game that becomes a real game.
yeah. You could
And I
make
think
that
that
work.
would accomplish basically the same thing.
Yeah,
And it would be part of that trope of like, he won't he refuses to throw the fight, because in this, like I said, he does lose on purpose and then go, wait, that wasn't for real, I was just pretending to be retarded, like he
yeah,
does that sort of thing, which is like, it's fine, but it's not as interesting, I think.
yeah, yeah.
um
And it's, yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. It feels like his character in that moment wouldn't have done that. Like based on everything else that we've seen, right? Like, why would he throw that first match still? Why would he go through with the motions
yeah.
once he finds out that like he's kind of been conned into coming here, right? Like,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Conned into coming here and can't even, because before he goes and talks to the organizer of the actual league championship, he thinks, okay, he's going to play this match and he's going to lose, but then he'll actually get to play him for real in the championships. And then when that possibility is closed off to him, you would think, all right, well, I'm just not going to lose this fight. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose this match. I'm not going to throw it.
I'm fighting for my life out here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, as it is,
It's fine.
it's still
Yeah, it's
good.
still
It's still
fine.
good. Yeah. It
It's
just could have been
just,
better.
yeah, like a quick rewrite there, that makes it just cleans it up a little bit.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. So that part. What characters haven't we talked about who are also like like real pieces of shit? I mean, his uncle is not really that bad of a guy. He just thinks he's wasting his time on the ping pong. Uh, doesn't want him to pursue it because he thinks he's got a good future as a shoe salesman. Um, doesn't give him his oh, we totally forgot to even mention that entire like opening, the kickoff to all of the craziness that ends up happening throughout the movie is his uncle. He's working for his uncle for a certain amount of for a certain amount of time to get $7,000 to fly to the European wherever it was, I think like Paris or something, for the World Championships. Um, his uncle leaves for the day before giving him the money, and the other guy at the shoe store, his cousin at the shoe store, is locking up in the safe, right? Putting all the money away in the safe. his uncle has not paid him because his uncle doesn't want to pay him because he doesn't want him to do ping pong. So Marty pulls a gun out of a cabinet and robs his cousin at gunpoint, basically,
For the money
for the
he's
money.
owed. Yeah.
um,
That's fun. That's a
to
fun scene. I like that scene.
go to the
Has consequences. You kind of think because it's the money
yeah.
that he's owed.
So we didn't even talk about that
What?
earlier.
Can you hear me?
I can't take.
God damn it, Hugh.
Sucks.
We're getting dots in the chat. You. I think you need wired headphones, buddy. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, there we go. You're back.
Okay.
You're good.
Do you need wired headphones? Is that what's happening here?
Maybe I do. Yeah. These ones don't seem to be made for this kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're talking about the scene where he like robs the guy at gunpoint for the money he's owed. It's kind of a funny scene because like it's like he's robbing someone at gunpoint, but it's low stakes because he's like, I just want the money that I'm owed, whatever. And you kind of think it won't come back to bite him, but then it does. You know, he actually does
because
get
he presses charges. So yeah. The cop comes to arrest him at the behest of his uncle, and he grabs him out of the shower. So he like puts the handcuffs on him, and his uncle is basically like, no, you robbed me at gunpoint, and you don't have $7,000 to give back to me right now, so we're gonna put you in jail. And so he has to like figure out, like he talks his way out of it, but then kind of doesn't because he's too proud to not go play ping pong. So he has to sneak out of the house and run away from the cops.
Yeah. And then go try to like hide at Rachel's pet
store where he finds out that she's pregnant and that it's his. And then
husband shows up, and then it's like he sees that he's being chased by the police, and so he like sends the police like, hey, he's over here. It's a whole big like chaotic mess, as much of the movie is. It's quite fun.
That's the kickoff, really, is like yeah. So yeah, Marty has robbed his cousin at gunpoint, kind of, because his cousin's like, you're not gonna, like, his cousin is so unimpressed with the action, which also makes it really funny.
Yeah.
You would think that like somebody pointing a gun at you, but it would be cause for alarm. But his cousin just looks so like dead. He's just like, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna shoot me. I know this is just Marty. This is just how Marty is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasserman
We've been jumping around.
Yeah, we have been jumping around. I was trying to think of the other characters who like aren't or are total pieces of shit. And Wasserman had asked if the Japanese guy takes his part of the bet, because that would be sort of scummy if he did. That would make him not so great. I don't.
Well, it's not really a bet so much as that like he's getting paid for this event.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it's not really clear because he's deaf and he doesn't talk, and he doesn't speak English anyway. It's not clear whether he knows that Marty is going to lose on purpose or not. One assumes he was told that, but I don't know if we get confirmation of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pandemic mentions too. Like during the World Championships, he spends as much money as possible at the Ritz instead of taking the ping pong or the table tennis association's free accommodations. He demands that he stay at the Ritz, and he runs.
Well, because the free accommodations kind of suck. They're like shitty hostel.
It's like a shitty youth hostel, as most things in Europe are.
And so he's annoyed at the table tennis league for like not treating them seriously, because he's like, I'm a professional athlete, man. It's his pride, but also what he feels the sport is owed, and that we shouldn't treat it like a joke. So he's mad at them for not putting them up in the nice hotels because all the league organizers are at the Ritz. And so he decides he's going to stay at the Ritz and bill it to the league, which ultimately, like what little money he does manage to acquire later, in order to get to Japan, now he owes to the league even more, I think. So it
Yeah.
just piling on all these things that are going wrong. But that's the scene where he's at the Ritz and he's like, "Oh, I ordered everything off the room service menu. Come fuck me, Gwyneth Paltrow." Like that's that whole sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Endo's a pretty fine
Endo's a pretty normal
character.
guy. Yeah, I mean, like
He's a normal guy.
the newsreel basically implies that when he's not playing ping pong, he's just leading a normal life, and
Yeah.
doing crafts. Like he's
Being a
making shoes.
shoemaker like the guy from High and Low.
Yeah, Mr. Gondo.
Mr.
He's
Gondo,
he's
that's
Mr.
right.
Gondoing it. Like really, like I mean,
Yeah.
he is sort of what you would expect the traditional sports drama hero to look like. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I just realized? This is unrelated. The woman who plays his mom is Fran
Fran
Drescher.
Drescher. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't notice that until I like Googled it.
who is she currently the head of SAG or was when the strikes were
She
happening?
was when the strikes were happening. I don't know if she is anymore.
Yeah, so all the actors who aren't getting work now, you can thank Fran Drescher. Um, God, the strikes were so stupid, man. Anyway, yeah, she's
But
so
the
let's talk
She-Hulk
about.
writers got paid. So
Oh, so that's good.
yeah.
That's good to know. It's like, oh, what's that? You want to make things more expensive for us to film in the United States? That's cool. We're gonna go film in Toronto
And
or
Northern
the
Ireland.
UK
Yeah.
or Budapest. See ya. Have fun with no work, losers. Anyway, so let's talk about the mom because he's got like a interesting, very Jewish relationship with his mother, who is like kind of is she a hypochondriac? She's always talking about like, oh, like she's in the hospital, and he's like, no, she's fine. Like she's just doing this for attention. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
weird off-color
She's having
relationship.
her friend call him to tell him that she's being taken, that she needs to go to the hospital, and he's just kind of calling her bluff, and they keep escalating. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Sean Astin is the head of SAG now. That's what I'm being told in the chat. My team has informed me.
Oh,
Uh,
well, good for him. Congratulations, Samwise Gamgee. Or
Don't
Rudy.
fuck it up, I guess, for
Yeah.
everyone else.
I like
Um,
Sean Astin. Good for him.
yeah, just keep those dreams dry, buddy. 51st Dates.
Yes. Yeah. Classic. Yeah. So she's a hypochondriac who's like constantly trying to convince him that she needs to go to the hospital to get attention. Uh
Yeah. And also she has no faith in his ping pong plans and dreams. Is not supportive of that and is always like trying to convince him not to pursue those anymore and to just, live a normal life. So he has kind of a fractious relationship with her as well. She ultimately doesn't really factor into too much of the story after the first half. And what I think is what feels especially unsatisfying about the end of the movie is we mentioned that when he shows up at the hospital after his semi-glorious victory, he returns home and he sees his mother at the hospital. And he's just kind of a standoffish dick to her as well, like as he was in the beginning of the movie. So it's like, oh, has he changed? Not really. I guess, he's happy about seeing that baby now, but he hasn't really mended or done anything to like change his relationship with his mom, which ultimately is such a small part of the movie anyway.
yeah.
Just feels a little like, okay, I don't know that this accomplished all that much. But that's all right, I guess. Who else we got in terms of characters? Who have we not talked about? Is there anyone?
Not really. I mean, I guess kind of Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean, we haven't
What's there to say about her other than she's a former actress who
isn't very
feels
good.
like
Not
no,
very
she's not especially great. She's trying to launch something of a comeback.
She also
Marty
has an
managed
ego about her, like she really
yeah.
hates the younger guy that she's working with in the theater. She thinks that he's, a real piece of shit, and she can't work like this, kind of thing. But yeah, her husband is bankrolling the entire production that
Yes.
and it gets horrible review, or the reviews don't go the way she wants, clearly, because
Hmm.
like the last we see of her, she's weeping in a room surrounded by other women. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, partly, she probably already felt this a little bit, but Marty kind of convinces her that her husband just kind of views her as a trophy wife, which seems to be at least partially true. But he
yeah,
is like funding her little comeback, like off Broadway play or whatever it is. So, you know,
yeah,
he's not. I guess he's not that bad, but she seems unhappy in that relationship, such that she is willing to have an affair with this. What is he, like 23 in this movie?
yeah, something like
Something
that.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, very young, very cocky table tennis player.
yeah,
All
but
of this stuff is made like there is a slight elevation of it. It's made slightly funnier because this whole movie is about ping pong. Like that definitely
yeah,
adds a little something that I don't want to go unappreciated. Like that he's going through all of this stuff so he can go be the best ping pong player is really funny in a
yeah.
meta sense.
It really is. Matthew Leach asks, was it shown or said why she was crying? She was pulled aside to read the reviews. We cut away to because she goes inside to get Marty a second necklace after his attempts to fuck her in the park have resulted in the cops almost arresting both of them and
Yeah.
revealing, because the cop recognizes who she is. So the cop was about to reveal to everybody what had happened, and that she was sleeping with somebody who wasn't her husband. So she has the cop take the necklace that she gave to Marty to pay for his trip to Japan, and
And he
so
asked for
he
another one.
asks for another one, which is really funny.
It's very funny.
And so she goes
Very funny
upstairs to
indeed.
get one, but she gets sidetracked because everybody's been waiting for the reviews to come out in the evening, or the first edition of the morning paper. Comes out very late, and so she gets pulled aside to read the reviews. It cuts away to Marty impatiently waiting outside, and he decides to go in to try to
Even
just
though she
find
told
her.
him not to,
Yeah, she
yeah.
told him not to, but he decides to go in anyway to find her. And he ends up finding her surrounded by a bunch of people in a bedroom, and she's just like inconsolable.
Yep.
So the implication is the reviews were abysmal, and her career is pretty much
Yeah.
dead. Um,
Yeah, that's the implication for certain. And
yeah,
based on what we saw in the rehearsal, she wasn't especially great anyway. I mean, he talked her up like she was great because he wanted money from her, but it didn't seem like she was actually very good at all.
yeah.
Very community theater
And
level.
that's when he decides to go and try to beg her husband to bring him to Japan, and he gets paddled
Yes.
for his troubles. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's that
But
little
it does,
sequence.
yeah, but then it does work. But I mean, there's not a whole lot more really to say about her character. Like
No,
she likes him enough, but
she's really just kind of using him to recapture something of her own youth. You get the feeling that, like, because
yes,
she
for
used to be
certain.
like him. She's where she's she has ended up, because like she clearly believes that she is a great actress, and
Hmm.
that, or a great performer, and things haven't worked out for her. She's lost her career. She's become, essentially a kept woman. And so his swagger and confidence is kind of, her sleeping with him is an attempt to sort of recapture some of that. Um,
Yep.
but
Okay, so there's one more bit of dialogue I wanted to read because it was
Oh
yes, so
God,
it's one
there's
of
real quick. There's, because this just popped up in the trailer and I forgot about this. While he's on tour with the Globetrotters, Marty, they go to Egypt and he chisels off a piece of the pyramid to take
right.
home to his mom.
Yes. Yes. He chisels off a piece of the Great Pyramid, brings it home to his mom and says like we built this to
Yeah,
her
we built that.
and gives it as a little which I don't think is historically true, but it's fine. And and she's like, "Oh, okay." Because she doesn't think much of anything about his ping ponging, but it clearly brought him to Egypt and all these places around the world. So that's like a little moment where I guess he gets to give her a gift and impress her a little bit. It's a nice little tiny moment. Um, there's a scene, one of the last big scenes before the sequence we just mentioned, where he's like, "Can I have another necklace, please?" Where he's talking to Gwyneth Paltrow, and we see like their relationship start to fray a little bit. Um, so they're talking about how he is paying for her entire production, right? And she's kind of offended by that a little bit. And he says, "You know what you should do? You should leech him for every penny he's worth. Assume your place as the biggest star on the planet, and then you rub it in his smug little face." She says, "Thank you, but I'm not really looking for life advice from you."
Yeah.
She says, "No, I'm just saying you clearly never needed him in the first place." It's like with me, I'm never accepting anyone's help. I got to do it completely on my own, purely on the basis of my own talent. Otherwise, it's like the success won't even count. But that's just me. And she's like, "Well, that's very easy to say." It's like, "Well, it's easy to say, but it's sure not easy to do. I mean, you know that. That's why you cashed out." And he's like, "Let me ask you something. Do you make money at this little table tennis thing?" He's like, "Not yet." He's like, "Do you have a job?" "No, I mean, table tennis is my job." And she says, "How do you live?" He says, "I live with the confidence that if I believe in myself, the money will follow. Ultimately, my struggle isn't even about money." She says, "How do you pay rent?" He says, "I don't." Like, "You're avoiding the question." "No, I'm not avoiding anything. How do you plan on eating food today?" He says, "Honestly, I was just going to order room service the second you leave." He's like, "Nice, great, nice." Like, "What do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work out?" And he says, "That doesn't even enter my consciousness." She says, "Okay, well, maybe it should." And then he says, "You sound like my mom, no offense." It's a bold thing to say to a woman you just had sex with. Don't recommend it. Not a smart,
No,
smart
not
strategy.
it. No.
And she says, "And you sound like a child." And he's like, "Oh, yeah? Well, clearly I'm old enough." And he's like, "What's that supposed to mean?" Like, "That I'm old enough to fuck you in a hotel room in the middle of your big comeback." And she calls him disgusting. So like that's where their relationship sort of breaks apart for most of the movie, and then kind of comes back together again when he's like begging her for the necklace and everything. But it's an interesting scene for his character, like the whole like I live with the belief that if I believe in myself, in my talents, the money will follow. I have to do everything on my own. I can't accept help from anyone else, that sort of thing. Meanwhile, he actually does rely on everyone constantly, but it's not like help. He just like manipulates and steals from them. You know what I mean? And then he just the delusional overconfidence that like, "Oh, it doesn't even enter into my consciousness that I could fail." And then she's like, "Well, maybe it should, buddy." Maybe it really, really, really should.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dialogue is really, really good. Somebody
Yeah. It
mentioned,
is really
yeah,
good.
the dialogue's good. The performances are good. You know, the editing is good. I think, and really, like I said, the only thing that really, really bothers me, except for blowing up the gas station and killing all those guys, I think that's too much, regardless of what you do with the ending. But it's really only until how we decide to wrap up the story that I really have any problem with it, because it's very compelling the whole way through. And you're like, "Oh, this guy sucks," but you want to see what happens to him because it's very compelling and engaging and stressful, intense and exciting and exhilarating and all that sort of stuff. When he finally does win, a little, little clunky as the ending may be, the finale may be, it is really satisfying when he wins. You know what I mean? It's like when he's like rolling around on the ground and everyone in the crowd just deflates instantly, except for the few like U.S. soldiers who were stationed there, presumably at Okinawa. Like, it's a really compelling scene, and I like that he wins. If you set aside what happens to him after that,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
it's a fun, entertaining, thrilling, wild, stressful, funny, tense movie, and I like those kind of things quite a bit.
Yeah.
Though I think
I think
I
there's
don't
a lot of fun to be had with it. I just don't like. I mean, I just don't think it's as good as Uncut Gems. That's really what it boils down
no
to. Is like I just don't think it's quite as good.
no well, it's definitely not as good. Uncut Gems is a movie like I own and will watch many more times before I'm dead, unless I die tomorrow or something. But this is a movie
Better get started.
I
Watch it twice tonight.
I don't know that I'll ever watch this movie again. If it's on somewhere, sure.
Yeah, maybe.
But like I don't think I would ever go out of my way to watch it again, which isn't to say it's bad, but it's for me it's a movie you watch once and go like, "Ah, that was pretty good."
Yeah, yeah,
And that's it.
serviceable.
It could have been more. It could have been greater, but it's a good one-time watch, if nothing else. I don't know. Do you feel that way too? Do you think you'll ever rewatch this movie?
Probably not, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Is it better than Anora? No. No,
No,
it is
no, it
not.
is not.
Anora is a great movie. One of the better movies for the past couple of years, in my opinion. Legitimately quite good. I would watch Anora again. Absolutely. It could have been a contender, exactly.
Exactly.
It could have been a contender. And that's the only thing that's especially disappointing about it, is that it could have been really good.
Yeah. That's about all I have to say about Marty Supreme, honestly. Yeah.
That about sums it up, I would say.
Yeah. Real quick, Jamie, because I haven't really kept up with this. What are the award buzz? What's the award buzz looking like right now? Have they announced?
Different publications like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety have probably put out their short lists of what they expect to be nominated, but the nominations,
Oh, the
I don't
Golden
think that
Globes
happens.
are tonight, though, so that we have a little bit of like a short list here. Oh, of course, Frankenstein was nominated. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Yikes.
Yeah, I don't know about the Oscars. Obviously, some of the other awards, but I barely pay attention to the Oscars now, and I definitely don't pay attention to the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I feel like watching all the best pictures this year, even though it's a thing we've done.
Okay, so I'm going to read you, because usually the Golden Globes provide the short list for the Oscar nominees.
Sure.
Only a couple usually make it out, like don't make it from this list, right? So
really quick before you start, we're being asked if we thought Gwyneth Paltrow looks good in the movie. She was 52 when it was filmed. She looks very good for 52.
Yeah, she looks great.
That is absolutely true.
The goop is working for her.
The goop is gooping.
Yes,
as they say.
She's
all right, go ahead.
Gooping along. So for Best Motion Picture Drama, the Golden Globes are nominating Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
I still haven't seen, because I've heard such mixed things about it, but I feel like I have to know.
I feel like we've got to watch it and talk about it at some point, considering that we did that for Dracula. I'm not as passionate about the Frankenstein novel as I am about Dracula, but I do think that pretty much every Frankenstein story since it started being adapted into film has completely missed the point of the book, and that kind of gets on my nerves. So Frankenstein.
We'll talk about it. We'll have to talk about it.
Hamnet.
Oh, that is that Chloe Zhao movie about, it's like a drama about William Shakespeare and his wife, whose name I can't remember.
Oh, Anne Hathaway. His wife's name.
Right, yeah, that's what it is. I knew it was something. I knew it was someone's.
Jennifer Aniston.
It's about like a personal tragedy, like the death of his son, and apparently how it affected one of his plays. But it looked really boring to me. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard some okay things about it, but it just looked really boring. I can't. Okay. I don't know.
I mean, it's Chloe Zhao. It's probably boring.
That's what her movies tend to be, don't they?
It was just an accident.
Okay, I've heard some things about that, but I don't know too much about it. But I've heard of it. Heard of it.
Yeah, Sentimental Value. That one.
Okay, yeah, Sentimental Value is pretty good. That's one I definitely recommend, if you like just a solid character. So the basic premise, I'll give you the pitch on Sentimental Value. Sentimental Value is about these two daughters whose dad is a relatively famous film director in Norway who is like kind of estranged and hasn't really been a part of their life for a long time. One of his daughters is an actress, and then he kind of shows up randomly back into their life like, hey, daughter who's an actress, I want you to star in a movie I wrote. And so like that kind, and all the sort of tension and drama that comes from like those sort of relationships and that premise. So there's a little bit of like, it's a movie about making movies.
Okay.
In a way.
Gotcha.
And I always like those. And it's really good, really well acted, very compelling. It sticks the landing quite well. Very enjoyable movie.
All right. The next one on the list is The Secret Agent.
I don't
even know
what
that is. And the last one on the Best Motion Picture Drama nominees is Sinners.
Oh, fuck Sinners. Okay, that movie fucking blows. The Secret Agent is a movie with Wagner Moura, and he is in It says in 1977, Marcelo, a technology teacher, moves from Sao Paulo to something I can't pronounce during Carnival to escape his violent past and start over. He finds the city full of chaos, and his neighbors begin to spy on him. So
And
it's
okay,
a
I
it's
mean, I
a
guess I could.
crime thriller set during a tumultuous time in, I assume, Brazil. Yeah. Um, so I don't
Interesting.
know.
I mean,
Could be
that could be
interesting.
kind of interesting. I mean, that one from
Sure.
Brazil last
Why
year
not?
was okay.
Uh,
For a while.
let's see. Daily Dose says that Hamnet is pretty damn good. Okay, maybe I'll give it a chance.
Yeah,
Are you
maybe.
sure it wasn't really boring? Because that's what it looks like. I
What?
believe you
Yeah.
that it's good. I will. I'll. You know what? I'll suck it up and give it a chance.
So the best motion picture musical or comedy category is a movie called Blue Moon, starring Margaret Qualley.
Quality, yeah. That is a movie about. So do you know who Rogers and Hammerstein are?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the basic premise, it has Ethan Hawke in it as well, and it's
Hmm.
about the guy who was the partner of either Rogers or Hammerstein before they sort of like went separate ways, and then they went on to be really famous. So this is like it's a drama, I think, about a guy who feels left behind by his former partner's meteoric rise to fame, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
It
Okay.
didn't look especially interesting to me
That's
when
another
I
one
saw the
like
trailer, but.
entertainment industry. Like we're yeah. Then a movie called Begonia. I've heard of that one, but I don't.
That's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
Oh yeah, that's why. That's why. Okay. Marty
I'm
Supreme.
kind of I've given up on him personally.
Yeah.
I poor things. I was like, oh, there's potential here, and then he just fucked it in the ending. I've given up on Yorgos Lanthimos. I just don't think he'll ever make a satisfying story ever again. It'll have a lot of cool stuff. It'll be really weird and out there, and have some great performances, and have some really cool aesthetic things that you haven't seen in a movie before. And then the story will be kind of really lame and unsatisfying. That's just what I expect from everything he ever does now. So I don't want to watch Begonia. Fuck it.
Okay. Yeah. Then Marty Supreme. No Other Choice, which I watched yesterday. That's another one like Marty Supreme. That's like a soft recommend for me. There's a lot working for it that I think is very good. I think it's pretty sloppy, like story structure wise, and theme wise. It gets a little sloppy too, but I didn't hate it. I thought there was enough there, that it's entertaining enough. But I wouldn't say that it was, it's not one that I'm going to watch ever again.
Yeah.
Definitely not my favorite of that director, which is still Old Boy. So
Hmm.
then there's something called Nouvelle Vague,
Uh,
maybe or yeah, whatever, however a Frenchman might pronounce that
it is
set
a
of words.
comedy drama. Is a 2025 comedy drama film directed by Richard Linklater. Um, oh, starring someone as Jean-Luc Godard. So it's a movie about
Jean-Luc
making
Picard.
movies. No,
It's a Star Trek
no.
movie.
Godard, the
Oh,
French film director. It follows the shooting of Breathless, one of the first feature films of the French New Wave of cinema. So
oh,
it's a movie about the making
of a
of
movie.
Breathless,
Got it. Okay. Um,
which I
pan
liked Breathless enough. I thought that was a
yeah.
pretty decent movie.
Pandemic
But
says Blue Moon is not shit. That's good to know.
well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And then the last one on the musical or comedy nomination list is One Battle After Another. So
You know,
Sinners, it's gonna come down to Sinners and One Battle After Another.
okay, hold on. Remind me, run through all the names really quick. Both categories. Just rattle them off because I've forgotten some.
All right, Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, Sinners, The Secret Agent, Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, and One Battle After Another.
Well, I haven't seen Frankenstein, so I couldn't comment on that. But I feel like they're gonna give a lot to one battle after another.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel that
I
deep
don't
in my
I don't
bones.
think Frankenstein pulls that, like it's gonna go to One Battle After Another and Sinners. Those are gonna be the big ones.
I don't know because Guillermo del Toro, he pulls awards.
It, mm, I don't know.
He does.
He's pulled one. He's pulled The Shape of Water
Well,
one.
didn't his Pinocchio win Best Animated Feature?
Yeah, like best animated feature though. That's like
Well, that's just because those never get nominated for best
yeah,
best feature. But I
yeah.
mean, like that's he's okay. I mean, you can quibble with it. I think he's got a decent chance, having not seen the movie. That there's a decent chance I could give it to Frankenstein, perhaps.
And I
But
don't know because it
I
is Netflix
suspect
too. So like,
that's true.
yeah,
They don't want Netflix to win anything. I think they'll probably give it to One Battle After Another. And fuck that movie. Video still coming on that. Don't worry, it's coming.
yeah.
It's in the works.
Topaz Dude says Park Chan Wook might be the all-time best genre mixer. Handmaiden and JSA, which is Joint Security Area, all-time great movies. I have never seen either of them, and I really want to. After because I went to see No Other Choice at the Alamo, and they had basically like at the beginning they were like, "Hey, for all you people in the audience who've never been to a Korean movie before, here's like all the classics of Korean cinema that you should probably know before you watch this movie." And a lot of Park Chan-wook's were on there, of course. And those both looked great.
Yeah.
So I really want to see them at some point.
So we got a super chat. Thank you very much. Matthew Leach asks, "Have you ever seen Hollywood suck off a film like One Battle After Another?"
Well,
obviously,
yeah, they did that to The Substance too.
Yeah, they suck off a lot of movies. I actually think this, the critical response, the critical response to One Battle After Another is mostly to talk about how important the politics of it are. Obviously, it has good reviews, but really, I feel like Hollywood has sucked off other films a lot harder. Honestly, they like it because they think it's important politically.
Black Panther, there's another one, yeah.
Yeah, they
Sinners.
definitely.
Sinners.
Yeah,
There's another one.
there's another one. But yes, to your point, their political bias is embarrassing. The politics of One Battle After Another are like actually egregious. And yes, I am working on a video on it. It will come out. I'm going to try to time it right around the time that it wins Best Picture at the Oscars for maximum engagement. That'll be the plan for that. But it is coming, and I hope it's good because I fucking hate that movie. So there'll be a lot to say about it. Yeah, it'll probably win considering the other class of movies around it. Of the ones I've seen that are on this short list so far, I'd probably give it to Sentimental Value, honestly, because it's just a solid, really solid movie. It's quite good. It's not as flashy as a lot of these other ones, but it's good. Good.
Jacob Booma asks, "Just got here. Is Marty better than Good Time?"
No,
Yeah,
I don't think so
either.
I think Good Time's a better movie. But Marty Supreme is a pretty good time. So there's that.
Yeah, like it's still fun. It's just not quite, it's not hitting the highs of his previous highs.
Yeah. No,
Amelia Perez.
not yet. I hope they get back together.
Hollywood sucks off Amelia Perez. That would have been a great headline.
God, it really did though, didn't it? Because that movie was cancer.
Yeah, and they didn't even have the balls to put a scene of Amelia Perez getting sucked off in the movie. Where is the justice in this world?
It's funny. That movie could have actually won more awards if like a couple weeks before the Oscars, the actors like old tweets didn't come out.
The actors' tweets about George Floyd hadn't come out.
George Floyd and Islam and other things.
If the actor wasn't actually based.
They would have it would have been so embarrassing, but I really do believe in my heart of hearts that is the reason it didn't win more awards, because it was lined up to just be the most
lined up to just like clean up. It was gonna become a record breaker. Like statistically the best movie ever would have been Amelia Perez.
Was there even a musical in the musical comedy category? Unless Blue Moon is actually a musical itself. The trailer didn't make it seem like it, but then again, a lot of
they hide the musicals stuff. Yeah,
a lot of modern movie musicals kind of hide that they're musicals in the trailer. It's really embarrassing, actually. They're ashamed of themselves. Yeah, One Battle After Another is like, it certainly has some funny jokes in it. I don't know if I'd call it a comedy though. It is a drama, but that's
Yeah.
fine
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Marty Supreme also in the comedy category because, like, I mean, it is
because
funny.
it's less
Yeah.
competitive.
Yeah. It is
Tends to be
funny.
less competitive.
It is a
It is pretty
comedy.
funny. Yeah.
It's also a drama. It's
hmm One
um
battle after another. That's like the only like praise I would absolutely give the movie is that it is quite funny. There are a lot of great jokes in one battle after another. You can't fault it for that.
yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
should be ashamed of themselves. Their musicals, no. But if you said that they should be ashamed of themselves because they're modern musicals, then I would say yes. Because
Yeah.
we haven't had a decent movie musical in maybe 20 years. It's been a long
What was the
time.
last one? What do you think the last decent
The
movie
last
musical was?
decent to good movie musical that I'm aware of is Chicago. I like Chicago.
Ah,
Chicago's pretty
oh
good.
yeah.
It's got some cringe in it, but overall, it's more not cringe than cringe. There's a lot of good stuff in Chicago, and it's fun, and it's shot in a very like exuberant and vibrant way, and it's got good songs in it. That's what I would say. That's what I'd say. I would say Chicago. Obviously, the heyday is long before Chicago. The heyday is like the 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Check out It Was Just an Accident. That was my favorite of 2025. You know what? I will.
Yeah. Hey, you know
Matthew
what?
Leach with another super chat says Jungle Book next. Hope you get Rags and Fringy for it. What is next? Is it Jungle Book?
Mary Poppins is the
It's
next one.
Mary Poppins next. Yes, because we're because we watched Song of the South and that was a mix of animated and not animated. We are also going to talk about Mary Poppins, even though it doesn't perfectly fit in the
Yeah.
theme. Because fuck it, we do what we want.
Yeah. And I think Mary Poppins kind of changed, like I think that sets the tone for what's going to happen a lot with Disney Studios later too. So I think it's important to talk about in the arc of you know, exploring Disney and
People
how he
have
made his movies.
True. People have brought up Sweeney Todd. I have not seen Sweeney Todd the movie. I
Oh,
have
yeah.
heard the difference between the music of Sweeney Todd the stage production and Sweeney Todd the movie. And oh boy, is the movie so much worse just in terms of the music and the singing. Um, Completely sands off all the rough edges and what makes it musically interesting. So I was disappointed to hear that, and that kind of put me off ever wanting to go see the movie. But it is relatively well reviewed from what I understand. You said as if you didn't care for it. Is
I
that true?
liked it when I was a moody teenager. You know, that's pretty much that. There you go. That's it.
And Daily Dose says you didn't like Kiss of the Spider Woman. Man, that Kiss of the Spider Woman was like like Amelia Perez if it didn't get all the critical attention. Kiss of the Spider Woman was really embarrassing and cringe. Though I will say, Kiss of the Spider Woman is like colorful and very vibrantly lit. It looks pretty good, honestly, for a modern movie shot on digital. It's got a lot of character to it. So points for that, but the songs weren't good and the story was awful. So no, I did not care for Kiss of the Spider Woman. I'm always looking for a good modern movie musical, but they just don't happen. Wicked sucked, so I did not see part two. I noticed that it was not on the short list for
No,
the Golden Globes. I
no,
suspect
they.
it will not be for the Oscars either.
I think this is like a Ready Player One kind of situation for Wicked, where like the first one came out, the book wise, I mean, the first one came out and everybody kind of went bananas for it. They thought, oh my God, how incredible. The second one came out and it's basically more of the same, and everybody goes, "This sucks. What happened? The first one was so good." It's like, no, no, no. You had a moment. It's fine. It happens to all of us. Um, but no, it's always been shit, actually. Um,
It's funny because when it came out, it was obviously nominated for Best Picture, as was Avatar: Way of Water. I don't think Avatar: Fire and Ash will be nominated for Best Picture either.
no,
I think that's over for him.
no, I think that's done. That's probably raking in, the two,
Well,
three
you know what?
billion.
Actually, that's a great segue to pivot briefly to some budget and financial stuff that I find interesting. Before we do that, Topaz Dude says that I don't know if this would count, but I'd recommend the French artist Jean Benoit Dunkel apologies to all French speakers for having to hear that. And his new stuff, he mentioned it because
Don't apologize to them.
he correctly assumed that I like classical music, which I do. So I have not heard this artist, and I will check them out. I do like music. Who doesn't? Besides Travis from Taxi Driver.
Okay, wait, real quick. I just want to give you the AI overview of the critic consensus for Avatar: Fire and Ash on Rotten Tomatoes.
Go for it.
Remaining on the cutting edge of visual effects, Fire and Ash repeats the narrative beats of its predecessors to frustrating effect. It holds a 66% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the EFAP on it, and they really tore into it. It seems awful. I mean, and I hated
Way of Water.
Way of Water. Ugh,
Yeah.
awful movie. I want to talk briefly about Marty Supreme's box office, and then actually before we do, I want to do Avatar: Fire and Ash box office because the first two Avatar movies did absolute gangbusters. Made money hand over fist. I think I am very confident both of them made over $2 billion. And I think because the budgets of these movies are so high that essentially they need to make over $1 billion to make their money back. So you might wonder, I think you had started to say that you think Fire and Ash was probably making money hand over fist. So far, not really.
Worldwide, it's at 1.2 billion already.
Well, yeah, but it needs to make $1 billion to make its money back. You know what I mean? Like that's good. That's a lot of money. People clearly turned up in the theaters to see it, but that is like almost a full billion or more behind the other two.
Oh shit, wait a minute. Yeah, hold on. This is it's been I could have sworn it came out like 2 weeks ago or last week.
It's been out
for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, it's like maybe it's finally ending.
Yeah, so that is a big drop off. Obviously, it's kind of mind-boggling to imagine $1.2 billion as a disappointment, but I think it is. I think it is. Hold on. If I look up the official budget numbers for Fire and Ash, at least $400 million.
Oh my God! And that was marketed like obviously marketed
of
like
course.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we just do a simple times 2.5, yeah, that's $1 billion. It needs to make at least $1 billion. It needs to make more, honestly. It really depends on how much they spent on marketing. But that's a disappointment. It's so funny, like right before it came out, there was a couple quotes I saw of James Cameron saying like, by the way, if this is the last one of these I make, I'd be fine with that because I think it ends in a really strong way. It's like,
no,
are you hedging your bets?
You're hedging your bets because you had 5. You had it postered.
You certainly
for 5.
had 5.
You kept saying I've got 5 of these in me, and now he's like, actually, maybe this could be the end. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I just don't make any more. I'd be okay with that. Oh, I see.
So there's two ways to read that. One is the way you just read it, and the way I'm inclined to read it as well. That like. I just have a feeling this one won't do as well, so I'm going to hedge my bets and say, you know what? If it stopped here, I'd be fine and totally cool with that. The other way to read it is he thinks this is going to convince people this one isn't skippable, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like this one ends really satisfying. It's not going to be like left open ended and not satisfying. Like maybe that's what he's trying to convince people of. But it feels to me like he's kind of hedging his bets that maybe he won't actually get to make 4 and 5. And based on these numbers, maybe it's a toss-up.
Yeah, it might be. It sure might be.
Toss-up. People have mentioned that apparently they shot, 2 and 3 around the same time. And, based on what I've heard, they actually do. It seems like they actually reuse shots. And basically do a very bare bones way of reanimating some of the sequences from 2 to reuse them. So maybe they were a bit economical here, but based on reporting, it seems like it still costs $400 million. So yeah, I think this one, It made a profit, but not a huge one. I wouldn't
Not
be
a profit like
surprised
the
if
last
they
two,
stopped.
like the first
No.
two.
Speaking of not making a profit, let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
Marty
Marty
Supreme.
Supreme.
Marty Supreme is a movie that, according to report, so this is Marty Supreme is technically an indie film. I've seen people online be like, "What? This isn't an indie film. It's got such a high budget." And it's like, actually, it's not the budget that matters, because remember that Megalopolis is an indie film, and that had $100 million budget. But Marty Supreme, obviously, it's distributed
Fuck
by
you on
A24.
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis. With a budget, Marty Supreme, of somewhere between 60 and 70 million. Some figures say 65 million. So far, it has made 78 million. That's not good.
Nope.
They spent a lot on marketing. They had a whole blimp fly across the country. They spent a decent amount on marketing.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
That's not good. That's a flop.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if it does well in awards season, maybe that gets a push. That happens sometimes, but it's not going to win in awards season. It's not like about anything serious enough for the Academy, I don't think. Obviously, like, the Academy didn't even give a nomination to Uncut Gems or Good Time or anything like that. So maybe they feel a little bit like we got to nominate him, but probably not. I don't think if this is nominated for Best Picture, it's not going to win really much of anything, I don't think. So it won't probably get a huge push from awards season. So I think this is a financial disappointment, this movie.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it was all right.
Yeah. It kind of sucks, but it's what can you do?
Yeah. Also, I take a lot of joy in the fact that One Battle After Another was a huge flop as well. So suck it. That one is more egregious of a flop than Marty Supreme.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's bring that up right now. One Battle After Another had a budget of around $130 to $175 million, and it made, and it's well out of theaters at this point, $200 million. That's a big flop.
Huge flop. Yeah.
They spent a lot on marketing for that movie. A lot.
Yeah, well, somebody had in the chat earlier had said something along the lines of like Paul Thomas Anderson challenge, make a movie
that makes money.
Doesn't lose money.
Yeah.
Impossible.
A lot of his movies have, but I take more joy in this one losing money, because fuck this movie. Someone mentioned that, like, it would, like, $200 million is not bad, and I was like, yeah, if it costs $50 million to make, it probably would have made a profit.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I mentioned that they spent $25 million just on Leonardo DiCaprio, who, unlike some actors, doesn't really seem like he likes to take a pay cut to work with directors he likes. Yeah, he's like, no, you're giving me the $20 million. You're gonna pay me. I think actually he did take a little bit of a pay cut for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He only got paid $10 million for that, something like that.
Only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about all I got.
All right, that is about it for us. Thanks for joining us. First stream back. Little technical difficulties that I'm going to blame on Hugh.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's fair. That's totally fair.
We're going to say that, Hugh, you need some wired headphones, buddy.
Yeah, everybody in the chat say get some wired headphones, man.
Get this bozo some wired headphones instead of these Bluetooth headphones that keep switching to something else and ruining the stream. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the super chats. We appreciate them. Look at that little blimp flying across the screen.
Everybody go see Wuthering Heights, air quotes. That is the title of the movie.
Oh God, Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights, but I love how the title pops up and they have to put quotes because it's not the book. It's not. They're not actually adapting the book. They're just like the Emerald Fennell, fucking joke of a director that she is basically just being like, hey, gonna be the most haptic movie of 2026 probably. So
that's a good reference. We like that. Hugh made the blimp on screen, so Hugh wins. No, I made the blimp on screen.
No.
Don't give
that
Hugh
was
the
me.
credit.
That was all me. I put it.
No, I make the backgrounds. Don't steal my thunder, bitch. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, friends. Hope you had a good time, and we'll see you next time.
We sure will.
Bye-bye. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Adios.